Didn't warn y'all, okay?
Woo.
What?
Damn it, I forgot to.
What?
Ari?
What was the meme?
There isn't a
joke.
meme yet.
Good joke. Good joke. Good joke.
Are just making their sounds as per usual?
A good joke. These are nice bits. What do we get? +2? We get +2 for that. +2.
+2 to what?
What?
You'd know. You know.
No, I wouldn't know.
No, you know. You know, for that, it's -2, okay? That's a -2.
What -2 to what?
Oh, damn. Rip your aura, man. I'm so sorry.
Aura, I don't even have one.
Okay. Alright.
No, I have the aura of a rotting corpse.
Alright, I'll be back in 1 second. Hold on. Rotting corpse. Oh my god. Well, good luck with that.
That's kind of an intense aura, to be honest, but, like, not a good one.
Exactly. How many minuses I got tonight, okay? But no, you only noticed at the last minute.
Okay, alright. Do we fix our auras? Are we all good on our auras here?
What now is...
The
No.
auras.
This
I
is the
can't-
standard state for me.
I can't find my USB
Of
to
corpse?
USB-C adapter.
Your
Actually,
what?
that's above average. My bad.
I kind of.
Yeah, you gotta get your social link up, okay?
My what
Oh.
now, Link? Up?
Yeah, your social link.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, you
One
get
of those,
it.
One of those jokes.
It's one of those video games we sometimes play. Can you imagine?
We? You mean you?
Are you saying that you've never played Persona?
I never played Persona 3.
I've never played a video game.
Okay, is that what I asked you? Are you gonna tell me that whatever Persona game you played did not have a social link feature?
No, it's called Confidants. It's different.
Uh-huh. A likely story.
And Strikers doesn't have that.
Uh-huh. A likely story. Next, you're gonna tell me it's just a Canada thing, I guess.
It's not even just a Canada thing. It's a Persona 5 thing.
It's fine. It's just a Canadian thing.
Does Persona 5 take place in Canada?
No, it doesn't.
They wish.
No, I don't actually. All right, I like Canada as it is.
Well, somebody has to.
What the fuck?
Dang.
It's gonna be a good stream. That's all I can tell.
Gonna
from
be
this
a
video.
good stream.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
am missing some hardware, so I'm gonna switch computers. I'll be gone for like 2 minutes.
Oh my god. -2? Oh my
Give me
god.
enough time to do my name.
What? -2.
Hey, Jeff, I don't know what this minus shit is. Okay, hold on. You gotta explain this.
So, I don't know if this is where it originated. It's probably a Northern Lion group kind of thing. But Germa and some other dude did a stream at some point where it's supposed to be a speed run of some game, and when certain things happen, they'll either lose or gain time. And one of the things is if you tell a good joke, you get plus a certain amount of minutes. If you tell a bad joke, you get minus. So that's what the +2, -2. It's like, oh, that's a good joke. That's +2. Or whatever. That's how it was explained to me. I don't know if that's where the origin is, but...
Okay. Thank you.
Do this.
Where I watched that clip of them doing that speed run. It was good. It was good memes.
What are they speedrunning? Out of curiosity.
Kane and Lynch. I think that's what the game's called. Kane and Lynch, Dinman, probably.
Honestly,
I remember that
the biggest detriment to my aura is my fucking cable management because everything is black and not labeled, and I don't know what anything is anything.
No, the biggest detriment to your aura is that you haven't finished Dorohedoro.
Shut the fuck up! I'm busy!
-2.
Bro, flipping the mic.
Oh my god.
Flipping the mic. That's also normal. That's not new information.
Okay, I believe I've posted everything where I need to post except for this thing here. I posted in this server already about it, right? Yeah, so we're good. Okay, all right, we are good to go, I think. Let's just jump right into it, right? We're not waiting on anybody else. This should be everybody. So
This is more than usual.
yes,
It is
yeah.
more than usual.
Okay, I'm taking off the pre-show. We're getting ready to go. All right, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the Anime Book Club here on youtube.wolfborg.com, twitch.wolfborg.com, kick.wolfborg.com, and your mom's Apple Smartwatch.com. All of them at the same time. You know the deal, okay? We are half an hour later than usual because I was at a work dinner thing, so apologies for that. I had warned the book club people ahead of time, but I did not post outside of the server to let people know. So that's why we're half an hour late. It's because of me, okay? You can blame
That's
me.
why you should join the Discord to get updates.
Exactly.
On this stuff.
It's
So
so true. And you can easily do it by going to discord.wolfborg.com. Oh my god, how convenient is that? There's probably links wherever you're looking right now, somewhere on screen or below. You can find it. It's so easy. Oh my god, how amazing. Now, we're here gathered to discuss the next segment of Umineko. Specifically, episode 1, volumes 3 and 4, or if you're reading the omnibus version, it'd be volume 2 for episode 1 for the omnibus version. But in the original version, it's volumes 3 and 4. So, before we get started discussing that, let's get started with introducing our guest. In alphabetical order as usual, Arimia, introduce yourself. You were waiting so long for that. You were waiting so long for that.
Is that a -2 on comedic timing?
That's a +2. That's +2. That's +2.
Oh my god.
That's +2.
That was the babe I forgot to do before we started. I was like, oh no, I have to get Beatrice cackled out wave uploaded.
Based. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, you keep going. I have to update the Kick title.
Oh no. Oh no.
For all my Kick viewers, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I'm Arimia. I'm the visual novel person.
The only one.
The only one. I actually invented visual novels.
I wasn't playing
300
Chaos Head
years
last
ago.
night. That didn't happen. Yeah.
Visual
300.
novels.
Oh my god.
Read Umineko.
But the manga or the visual novel?
Yes.
Anime.
Just not the anime.
Just not the anime. Okay, all right, based. All right, well, thank you so much for that. And next up, we have me, Chaplain, aka Wolfborg, aka the reason why we're late tonight. Apologies again. I am the host here on youtube.wolfborg. I already did the whole thing, okay? You know where to find me, and if you're watching me, you probably already found me, so good for you, okay? I know it was hard to do. So, what I would say as a bonus meme, I don't know, I'd recommend fucking, what's an anime from this season that was good? Were there any? Watch, Oshinoko
anime?
season 2. No, that, I don't want to. The deer anime is a thing you could try, but I'm trying to do something else. Okay, watch, no, I was gonna joke and say, like, watch, Days with My Stepsister, that really dumb, like, I don't want to say dumb, but it was like very very slow and nothing happened.
It's not that kind of anime.
Okay, shitting on new seasons aside, okay, just watch anime, okay? Just watch all of them. Every single one. There's so
Every
many of
single
them.
anime ever.
There's so many of them, and you know where you could start? You could start with New Game. It has 2 seasons, and it's amazing. It's just based. It's just incredible. You could do that right now. Nothing could stop you, except for the podcast. You should wait until after the podcast to do that. But that's fine. So, that's all
It's
from
also
me.
your break, you know?
I know, true. And next up, we have Nyan Bacon. Introduce yourself.
Heyo, what's up? I'm Nyan. You may also hear to me referred as Ann or Andy. I will respond to both. You should not read or watch or consume Familiar of Zero in any way, but AniList 5 days ago added the next Black Butler arc as an anime. So we got to get to reading Black Butler, guys.
Oh my
Start
God.
reading Black Butler, okay?
Oh,
After Umineko.
Oh
After,
my-
fine, after Umineko.
Fine.
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 Now you
Band
did.
Aid
I'm gonna read Black Butler.
Now you did in fact catch up to your reading in time for this week, right? Because it sounded like you were struggling earlier. I couldn't keep up. Did
Yeah,
you-
no, I was just complaining about like the first like most of it up until chapter like 20 or whatever was like, oh, this is easy, like these are average like chapter lengths, and then suddenly you hit those bonus memes at the end and it's like, hey, actually these are like 60 pages long, fuck you. I
And
was
very
like, why
dense
did
with stuff that's important.
why did they suddenly get so much more complicated like right at the end? But
We'll
no, I
see.
got it all done in time, and I had time for a nap.
Oh, nice. Based.
I have a question.
Yeah. What's your question?
Is reading Black Butler before or after Doridoro?
Before.
Okay.
Yes, priorities.
Butler's
Okay,
more
Shams,
important.
priorities. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, come on, man, gotta keep up.
Yeah, come on. I was like, wait, is Zane really gonna drop everything to read Black Butler before Umineko tonight?
I considered it.
I was like, oh no, we might not
Terrible.
see Anne tonight. We might not see them. I don't know.
No, honestly, if anything, the reason that I wasn't going to be here tonight was because I am a week into not having any of my anti-kill myself medication, and I have a headache. But we're okay.
Okay. All right. Well, good for that.
Umineko
Yeah.
keeps me alive.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good to hear.
Don't need
This-
antidepressants when I've got Umineko.
Yeah, because this is a very
And
heartfelt
you're
story.
got my back if nobody else does.
Yeah, this is a very nice, wholesome story. I say as I was reading like the last of my chapters last night, 3 a.m. with multiple gruesome dead bodies showing up page after page in the like darkness of my room from my like tablet light. Okay, it's very comforting. It's very
Listen,
nice.
it's just something the
Good time
girls
reading.
do at that age, you know?
It's just well, we'll get into that. Okay, it's a whole thing. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Makes you want to die less.
No, thank you so much for that, Naya Bacon.
So
Real quick, though,
true.
before we move on to the next one, okay, I want to call out a Miss Nunn in the chat who said, Chap, you hate most anime. This is true. That's because most anime is shit. I can't help it that I watch all of them, and most of them are shit. Okay, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? Argue with you? Okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? All right, next up we
It
have...
gets so annoying.
Next up we got Shadowman V4. Introduce yourself.
I'm Shabin before. The thing I'm here to shelve is me and Nine stream tomorrow.
Oh my god, what are you streaming?
Pokemon!
Pokemons.
Pokemons.
Oh my
I'm
god.
gonna beat Pokemon up. I'm gonna kill them. Lots of them. All of them.
Twice.
Okay. This is Pal World. Okay. Just gonna
Hold on
fucking
twice,
shoot
they're
him.
different, okay?
Oh, okay. All right. I understand. All right. Well, Pokemon Go to those polls tomorrow if you're interested. Next up, we have Turando. Introduce yourself.
Oh, did Shadow knock out? Okay.
No, you did.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Well, I'm turned down. I like to read.
Woo!
Okay. All right. Well, that's all you need to be here. All right. Does anybody have to say anything else before we get started with book club memes?
Oh,
I
God.
agree.
So true, bestie.
Welcome everybody to the Umineko episode 1 conclusion. Okay, we're not done with Umineko, but we are done with episode 1. Oh my god.
Things happen.
We have continued with the murder mystery stuff, and then weirdnesses happened, and I was like, okay, so this is where Ryukishi comes in. This is where the time loop bullshit comes in. I'm assuming this is going to lead to a time loop. That's my assumption, knowing Ryukishi, but I guess we'll see next volume. This seems like something to where, to me, it's like, okay, we've reached the end of the first playthrough. Now you go to the next playthrough, the beginning or whatever, but like not like
Well, lots of New
playthrough,
Game
like
Plus.
continuing of the story, but it feels like you're just starting from the beginning. That's what I'm assuming is happening, because at the end was a whole bunch of like Beatrice saying like this will be an endless like torture of them or some shit, and then the other one saying I'm gonna help you fuck her over. So we'll get into all that. This is the bonus memes. Well, let's get started with the events. So we started the end of the last volumes that we discussed last week involved Battler going to talk with the servants and them being like, no, Beatrice is real. And then there was like a figure behind him. So we had a whole altercation between Maria again saying, Beatrice is real, ooh, and like yelling at Battler over that shit. And the servants being like, no, it's true. She really is real, Battler. She's there. She's been a part of the family the whole time. She's been there. She's been there the whole time. And Battler's just literally like, I'm not believing shit until she shows up. So I don't believe any of this. I don't believe it. And even when they seem to see someone who very much just looks like Beatrice from the painting towards the end, he's like, "Nah, I still don't believe in you." I'm like,
I'm
base.
having so much fun reading it, and I understand why Battler makes the decisions that he does as a protagonist, but holy shit, he pisses me off. It's like, yeah, okay, like the whole thing is that you don't believe in witches, but also you're stupid and you need to shut the fuck up.
No. Personally, he's wonderful. He's got the Soto Kaiba approach, you know? Not real. Out of here, garbage.
It's not true. It's not true. Third-rate witches. Okay, I'm not dealing with it.
Because like
Fourth-rate spells.
I think it was I don't even remember when it happened, but he was like, oh, like, she's not here, like, prove it to me, and then they proved it to him several times, and he was like, ah, fuck you. Nah, I don't see it.
Nah, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Like, they're proving it
They're
to
like,
you. What do you mean?
He's like talking to Beatrice, and he's like, I don't believe in you. Sorry, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, you're like right in front of me, but
Yeah.
nah.
I say no. I say no. I just don't believe it. And she's like, oh, you interest me. Okay. All right. I've never had somebody not believe in me this hard before.
Before that, that's the bonus maze.
Oh
Back
my
to the
god,
bonus maze.
it's so hard to talk about the stuff in between because that's like the huge thing that happened. Okay,
Yeah,
but we will.
thing.
But we will
So-
go through it.
so-
Okay, we'll go
So
through it.
basically, Battler confronts the servants. They're all like, no, she's real and stuff. And he tries to fake them out, being like, oh, well, actually, if she was real, then I would have died because I didn't have a charm that Maria gave me.
Yes.
She gave it to me, but I just dropped it.
I don't
And
know this.
just trying to act all cool because actually it's Battler. He would never just
no.
like lose something that this little 9-year-old gave
Yeah,
him.
He was
So
saying that at the
he
time as a
lied to
fuck you.
them.
Well, he was saying at the
Yeah.
time to Maria to say, like, stop your fucking behavior, you crazy little child, okay? You're just making shit up for attention, and I know it, so I'm just gonna lie about this one thing. And you're just gonna do... Because she was so certain that the only reason why... And I wanted to bring this up, too. She was so certain that the only reason he didn't die was because of the charm she gave him. But... I'm just like, okay, that detail is probably going to be important later because
No
she
choice
was
for that one.
because specifically certain people did not die because of the charm. Specifically, Battler didn't die and Natsuhi didn't
Natsuhi.
die because of
And
the charm.
specifically, she says that Battler did not die because she would have picked Beatrice would have picked Battler because he is so like against magic that it just pisses her off so much that he probably would have been one of the first sacrifices if he didn't have the scorpion charm.
Here's where I say bullshit to that though. Okay, Natsui's door had a whole bunch of blood shit all over it. I don't think we mentioned a single thing about Battler's door or whatever. So there's no
she
like
never cried.
Nah,
you know, so
It's
You're
also-
saving him for last, okay?
I don't think that they showed it, but I'm pretty sure in the visual novel, it's all of the cousins are in one room together.
I
They
see.
just have like it's just like 4 beds or so together in a room, and that's where they're staying.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed that detail. I was like, there is this debate about this, and there's a whole talk about like how Nazi's door has a whole bunch of like the blood, or I'm assuming it's blood, but some kind of like shit all over it, and then like looks like handprints. But we don't mention about Battler or wherever the other charm was. Yeah, because like the whole time I'm trying to think too, like Battler, where it's like somebody is most likely trying to make us believe that this is a witch doing all this, but it's actually a real person doing all this. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of doubt cast the whole time about whether or not it's just somebody pulling off tricks that seem impossible, but aren't really. And it's specifically, this kind of story leaves enough doubt in some areas of places of the stories where you're like, okay, well, technically speaking, there could be some kind of weird way that this could be done. And that's especially like showcased like in the later part or whatever. But like, yeah, it's a whole thing where it's like, a witch could magically make this impossible seeming thing happen, or something logically could be a weird like trick or illusion, or somebody could be lying about something, and then like the whole thing turns out of whack. So the one big thing that they talk about immediately after the whole like Battler talking with the servants about the history of Beatrice or whatever, the legend of it, is the debate about the door to the Kinzo's study or room, where
Yes.
Eva has put a receipt into the door at some point so that she would know when it has been opened. And she had said that the paper was still inside, or the paper was essentially used in a way to determine in her mind that Natsuhi had to have done something to the master or something like that, to like kill him or like remove him or something like that. Because in her mind, the next time she saw the receipt, it was on the ground, and Natsuhi found it on the ground as she opened it, which means nobody else would have been in the room, and yet when she went in there, it seemed like the master wasn't in there. So, that's a little weird, or something like that. So, in her mind, she's bringing up this whole thing about how, actually, I had a receipt in the door the whole time. I just didn't tell you guys until now. And now this is actually going to change everything because Natsuki actually found the receipt. So that must mean that the whole scenario is real. And immediately in my head, I'm like, okay, this sounds sort of like it could be bullshit, though. Everybody is just full out believing this whole receipt story thing about everything that happened based solely on whatever Eva said and then Natsuki finding it. And I'm like, there's a million and one different ways we could excuse that. The most obvious being Eva could just be lying about certain elements.
Listen, that's just how insane the Ushiromiya family is.
They were so quick to just full out believe her, too. And I'm like, guys, can we stop for a second here and assume?
That's
If
exactly
critical
something
thinking
Ava
skills?
would do.
because I'm just like, if we're assuming the killer might be one of the people, are we just not going to bring up the question of maybe Ava's just lying about all this shit? I don't know, but so that's a whole big thing. She's basically just full out going for Natsui's throat, which she was pretty much doing that before this whole incident happened anyways, because she did not like Natsuhi and was shitting on her the whole time. But now directly accusing her of being responsible for Kinzo's death. And the reason being, the door's mechanism is that like it automatically locks when it's closed, and that there's no other way out. There's no like secret passages or anything like that they know of. And so whoever goes out or in through that door must be related to whatever happened to the master. And Battler eventually gets people to calm the fuck down from screaming and threatening to kill each other over it by saying...
Was that the scene? Was that the scene? Oh my god! Was that scene the first time that Natsuhi threatened to shoot Maria? Because that was unhinged.
I don't remember. I know later on that definitely happened when they locked themselves in the room and a letter appeared. And like only Battler, Jessica, and George, I think, were like in front of her at the time, and everybody else was behind her and could have slid the letter there. So she immediately pointed the gun at fucking Maria because Maria's laughing at all of them through the whole thing, saying, "Beach is gonna kill you! Ha ha ha! Yeah, let's all go to the Golden Land." And she's like, she just conveniently found another fucking letter. No fucking shot. I'm killing this fucking, or she threatened to at least because she was like really pissed about it, but.
The reason that I bring it up is because I was gonna say that I want to see the timeline where they actually did kill Maria, just to see what happens.
Dang!
Sure, I would too.
I just want to explore all my options, okay?
And really out here,
Right.
like, small child? What if she died? Please?
Horrible death?
Normalize killing small children.
I'm just like, and I was so mad. They kicked her and like the other people out of the room, and then immediately find what are they called, the pentacles or whatever, like another weird drawing thing that means something that only she would know. And they're like, well, we just kicked her out of the room. Oh fuck. And
my entire thought process that entire time was, why don't you just go after her to ask? It's not like you like threw her off the side of a boat or something. Like she's just
No, she's gone.
Hallway.
No, she's.
So
I
in
thought
the
about.
video, it's like a few minutes afterwards. So like
Yeah.
she is presumably already like far down the hallway or
Yeah.
in a different part of the mansion where they would have to like leave the room and
Yep.
go get her. They couldn't just yell
Okay.
for her down the hallway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it's a pretty big fucking place, and they're probably trying to go somewhere to hide so they don't get killed. So it probably would have been very hard to find them, and all it would do is just take them out of the room. Which, again, the whole point of the letter in that scene seems to be to just lead people out of the room that Beatrice can't get into, or the killer or whatever that can't get into or like kill without like everybody knowing. Which it definitely did that. It definitely worked to do that. So,
Yep.
because they were saying the master Kinzo may have snuck out of the room, and that's how Battler was like, it's not impossible for Natsui to not be related to this. He could have just hid under his bed while you guys were talking and then left afterwards, when you guys thought he wasn't in the room. He could have done a whole bunch of things like that. He could have done weird things. Ava says Nazi probably pushed him out a window. It's maybe, I don't know. But there's something about like locking the windows a certain way. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. But I'm just like, we can't just assume that she had to have been the killer based on some receipt story that we're only just now hearing about and have no way of fully verifying, I guess, other than Natsui finding it. But I don't know. So that was a whole situation that happened about the receipt thing. So we've already started to doubt each other and violently fight each other and argue over that shit. Afterwards, what?
I do have one question though.
Yeah,
I'm
what's your
sure
question?
it's gonna solve later.
Yep.
But if Beatrice can't get in the room, how'd she get the letter in there?
Well, so that's the question. How did the letter get in there? Did one of the four people put it in there? Like, you know, that were behind Nazi at the time? Or my theory is that it was already in there, but something might have been on top of it, and that's why Natsui didn't see it. That's my current theory, and it would be easiest probably if you just take something off of it that's on top of it, maybe, but I don't know. Natsui was just very adamant that she did not see it on the table beforehand. I don't know if that means there was nothing on the table beforehand. I don't know that. So I don't know.
And I mean, all of this is probably going to get talked about later, since like it seems the rest of the story is Battler trying to explain a human reason for everything that happened. So, like Shadow said, like this is probably something that'll come up later.
But that's all right before another set of killings happen. So after the whole Ava battle against Nazi, I think one chapter is called Ava versus Nazi, the next one was Battler versus Ava or something like that. So they had a couple chapters of the arguments back and forth, and the end result being Ava and her husband Higeyoshi, George's parents, right? They're just like, all right, fuck you guys. We're just gonna go to a different room. You guys all stay here. Fuck you all. And then they go somewhere else, lock themselves in. They have a bonding moment with each other, remembering the past, and then they fuck, and then they're dead very quickly.
Whoa, now, whoa, implied. Hold up.
Oh yeah, implied. Yeah, sure.
Implied. They look very. You walk in, and they have several giant things gouging out of them. Okay, was it what Ava's was like in her head, and Hideyoshi's was in his chest, I think, something like that. But they were in different parts of the room too. Ava was on the bed, and Hideyoshi, I think, was in the bathtub or whatever. But the big important mystery about that one is the chain on the door was on, like the lock chain that was on. So, you know, the question is, how did, if it was a real person that killed them, how could they have done it in that scenario? And the theory seems to be leaning closer to, it wasn't that they physically stabbed it into them. It was more that maybe they shot it like a projectile somehow. But even then, it's kind of like shady about like how that could have worked from that small of a crack. Maybe it could have worked against one of them, but what about the other one with where they're placed or whatever? It's a whole thing. I also wonder if maybe it has something to do with like, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of weird ways that you could try to think of to rationalize it, but most of them seem like fucking weird Final Destination traps to me. Like set up a giant gouge thing at the very top of the bed, and at a certain time it will shoot it out, or some dumb shit like that. Or like out of the room, if you pull a string, it shoots it from that location. So if anybody's there, it'll kill them. I don't know. That's like, you know, one kind of theory in my head. Like there's ways to set up some kind of device, perhaps, that you can activate from outside of the room, and therefore you would set up the scenario or whatever. And I think even Battler mentions at some point, he's like, during the like bonus meme thing, he's like, listen, it might seem impossible, it might be hard for me to explain how exactly it happened here, but pick up like any fucking mystery novel, and there's probably going to be some locked room mystery and an explanation for it. So if we find a few of them, we'll probably find some answer that's probably close to what we could get to here. Okay, there's ways to explain some of the trickery that's going on here that doesn't necessarily have to just be us assuming it's a witch. And that's, again, a recurring theme throughout all this. It seems to be it's going to be a recurring thing throughout the whole thing. This question of, like, you know, does the mystery side of it feel more likely than the fantasy side of it? Does it matter? And this is something even the author in the afterwards, I don't know if the author afterward was in the version you guys read, but literally in it, Ryukishi was just saying, yeah, so I wrote this just to like try to convince you guys as hard as I can that Beatrice is real. And there is no logical explanation for this, but maybe we'll see. We'll see if I can convince you or something like that. That's what it seemed like.
Maybe I've been doing some gaslighting, you know?
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss.
So it seems like Battler's even going against Ryukishi here, okay? I don't believe it. It's bullshit. I don't buy it. All right, so the Ava Hideyoshi stuff. Trying to think what else there was with that, and like any important clues that were involved with that. So you had the lock chain, you had the several objects that were they were like stakes or something like that.
So later on, I think that at this time they were believed to be like demonic, ritualistic, like carving tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
It's
also
explained
were
in like
supposed
one of
to
the, I think it
represent
lists
the
all of
seven
them.
sins. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was like Asmodeus, and one of the other demons was mentioned, but when Beatrice pulled them out in the ending meme, she was like, these are like this stakes of sins or whatever, and they like abolish sinners or something. So the reason that I held on to that was because I was like, oh, did each of the stakes correspond to one of the seven deadly sins? Because she outright stated in the version that I read that the reason that Canon was taken out by one of them was because he had let his wrath consume him. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Can we see how the other ones like would align with the characters and their like actions in the manga?
That is an interesting detail. I didn't think to go back and cross-reference that kind of stuff, but that would be interesting to see.
Is Shan Lust? I feel like that was the obvious one.
No, because she wasn't taken out with the stake. I think that it would have been one of George's parents was Lust, because they were theoretically fornicating.
The seven stakes don't have to align to a specific person.
That's cringe. I wanted it
like the stake that kills a person can align to them, but they are not set to that person, is what I'm saying. Satan can kill a different person as well. She's not like tied to a certain character or something like.
So just like Fire Force, where they say she's the symbol of innocence and sexual freedom, where it's like every single scene she's in is always just her being like sexually assaulted against her will. So like it just doesn't relate at all to
no, like Andy is saying, it does they do tie it into whoever they are killing, but like they're not set to Satan can only kill like a Canon or somebody. It's not that.
Because everybody has some level of the sins like inside of them. Like that's the motif that they're probably going to go with.
Characters have more than others.
So like arguably Ava, if we're looking at Eva specifically, she could probably in that particular scene correspond to lust, or she could correspond to greed, because that was like her whole thing throughout the beginning of the story was like her wanting to get the inheritance or whatever, or like all of them except for the servants could correspond to greed or whatever.
Okay. Well, this will be something we'll have to think about and keep in mind as we continue with the madness, I suppose. Now, what? Okay, yes, that is another detail that we have to talk about immediately. So, okay, I need a sanity check here. Was it immediately after they found the two bodies that Canon got killed, or was this like there's some time afterwards? Because Canon seemed like they got killed pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's almost immediately after, because they find the bodies. He goes out to get some pliers, gets the pliers, and then he leaves with Kumasawa, and they smell something in the boiler, and he rushes off in front of her. So it's almost immediately.
And I think there was also people theorizing that Kumasawa killed Cannon because they were like the only ones together at the time,
honestly,
or something like that.
Like, my only thought that they never brought up, my only thought to that was, she does not have, that old ass woman does not have the strength to drive what they have described as a blunt, like almost a blunt force object through Cannon's past.
That's what she wants you to think. That's what she wants you to think. That's what she wants you to think. That's the point, okay? Flip over the chessboard here, okay? We gotta flip it over. I'm still so tired of that line.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get so sick of that.
Listen, would you rather that, or would you rather have a bird's eye view? Bird's eye view.
I'd rather have bird's eye view because at least Shinpei wasn't a fucking dimwit. Battler's like, oh, let's flip the chessboard around. And that's just the stupidest shit imaginable.
Listen, he inherited that line from Kyrie, okay? All right?
Yeah, he
okay?
inherited it.
No,
he didn't invent it, but
not only that, but then later in this reading, he proceeds to go, maybe it's not as good as it was all cracked up to be.
Ryan, you don't understand. This is like the Joestar method. You have to inherit this, okay? You can't just take it.
It pisses me off.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate, Cannon's death. You can't really see it on the stream thing, so our thumbnail this week is the cover of Volume 2 of the Omnibus, which has Jessica and Cannon, and you can't see it, but Cannon's holding, like, I like to call it the, like, Higurashi fucking blade thing that one girl in that uses, because I'm like, this is that. This is Rena's fucking knife thing or whatever. I don't know if there's a specific name for this type of thing.
He knows how to draw one kind of machete thing.
I mean, it looks cool, so I don't blame him. So, you know, we're fine with it. So, Cannon's here, striking the cool pose. Jessica's there. I felt so bad last week for George when Shannon died. Bro just found his parents dead as well immediately after. The very next two victims were his parents. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
bro cannot catch a break.
Honestly though, I won't lie. It makes me suspicious of George. Honestly, I won't lie.
Really?
It does.
Interesting.
Okay, so here's my theory, okay? Here's my theory, all right? My game theory.
It's the glasses, isn't it?
Well, I'm like, Shannon's dead. Okay, he acts a little sad about that. His parents dead. Didn't seem as sad about that for too long. I don't know if that's just me, but he seemed like he got over that pretty quickly, considering literally all his direct loved ones are now dead.
He turned into rage, okay?
Sure. Okay, sure.
Yeah, because
okay.
I'm not
on the priority list, the parents are kind of a lot lower than Shannon, apparently.
I'm not saying
Shannon was top, okay?
Well,
I'm sorry.
There are so many, like, real-life reasons that I could give for that. Like, when we were spreading my dad's ashes, it was me and my mom and my brother and, well, him. He was there.
It's fair.
Okay.
His ashes were there. So
It's just a different way of grieving.
Okay.
Well, what I was going to say was a lot of times, like, that found family tends to be who the person prefers. Like his, you know, paternal, like his family didn't want to come. They wanted it to be like the person that he had married and the person that he had kids with. Beatrice also mentioned a couple times, I think, that all of them had turned to rage and vengeance. For George and Jessica, and a little bit Battler, but not as much. That was kind of what was pushing them towards their need for violence. The other thing is, like, shock is a response.
Battler turned into Detective Rage.
Okay. I was gonna say, that works too.
Yeah, with Battler though, I was kind of understood him a little more, because his whole time he was like, Dad, you're a piece of shit. You're probably going to hell, but I'm gonna miss you or whatever. He's like, and
there was
like,
no doubt in his mind.
He felt like he was more sad about Kyrie dying, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is more like, why would somebody do this shit to my parents? What the fuck did they do to anybody? What the fuck is wrong with you guys or whatever? Like
the note on the fridge with a Cookie Monster magnet. What did it say?
But
Nicole's fault. I'm
Okay.
Nicole, by the way. What the fuck did I do to him?
okay, here's my thing with George though. Okay, with George, I think I was more thinking at some point about the line of succession. So Kraus dies, and then Ava becomes the next in line, right? Is that the theory with that? Is that how that goes, or was it supposed to be
I think
Natsuki?
so.
Either way.
No, Natsuki is.
Natsuki
Oh
is
no, not
always
Natsuki. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Natsuki. Natsuki's trying to quote act like she's responsible for the family now, but she's not going to be getting the inheritance or whatever. So it's not like that. So okay, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, Kraus is dead, which means the next in line is Ava. Now Ava's dead immediately after, and Hideyoshi or whatever, which I don't even think he would have a claim because it's not direct family, but I don't know how that works legally. So either way, both of them are dead. But if you need to kill Ava and Hideyoshi's also in the room, he's probably also going to die. So okay, so both those two are dead. So does that mean right now, or at that point in time, George would be the next in line, or would somebody else have been the
No.
next in line? So what are the
Jessica's
older
before
people?
him.
Jessica was always the next in line.
Okay. So because Jessica
It's
was
Kraus,
born first. Okay.
Jessica, then I think it would be Ava, and then Rudolph,
Okay.
and then Rosa, and then I think George.
Yep,
In my
George is
mind,
seven.
I'm just like, all the older people in the family are dying pretty quickly. You know, a lot of people who would be getting
Beatrice just has
inheritance
morals
probably
against
next or
killing
whatever.
children.
Maybe.
Oh,
You know,
Unless they're furniture.
unless
Did you
they're
not hear
furniture.
her? Maria said that Beatrice made a promise with her
Yeah, true.
to take
They're
her to the Golden Land.
Everybody will be happy in the Golden Land as long as they believe in Beatrice. Just have to believe in Beatrice.
Well, you believe in her, don't you?
No. Bullshit. Bullshit. Not real.
Why don't you want
Not-
everybody to be happy and in the Golden
Okay.
Land? All you have to do is
Die.
believe in-
Question.
What's your question,
What's up,
Turndo?
Okay, so what is Beatrice collecting? The Ushiromiya family, right?
Yes,
Essentially
the interest.
everything about the
The interest.
Ishiraya family, yeah.
There's three things I don't like about that. Or like there's three people that I feel like one of them should not have died. Okay,
Okay.
because Battler was disowned, right? But he has like Ushiromiya blood, right? So theoretically,
Yes.
maybe. You have Natsuhi, who married into the family, so no Ushiromiya blood, right?
Yep.
But she has the one-winged eagle on
In
her
her heart.
heart.
Yep.
Okay, fine. We'll let that one go. But then Dr. Nanjo, he has like no blood relation. He's just employed, and he's like not even furniture. He's just like their personal physician. One of
Wrong
those
place,
three
wrong time.
Yeah, I
But,
was gonna
like,
say a
nothing
lot
to
of these are like you're a witness, so you got to die too.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's how it goes. That's what I assume it is.
Nothing
Okay.
personnel, kid.
That's my assumption. But also a part of it isn't even just the witness thing. It's also the whole trying to make everybody else believe it was a witch that did it to try to throw them off from catching them. That's also another angle that they're probably thinking of too. And I don't know, with George, you have all that to consider, and the fact that he seems pretty smart and always like nice talking all the time. It makes me a little suspicious how nice he seems to be talking to people still, given the circumstances. I don't know. I don't know. Feels weird to me.
Don't ruin my image of George, okay? He deserves only
It-
good things. He deserves only good things.
I'm just thinking, like, man, we're really highlighting the Shannon him love story real much for it to be torn away, and now his parents are immediately dead afterwards, and he's still talking really nice to Maria, even though she's praising Beatrice, who she claims killed all of them, and she doesn't care. But you know, maybe he is just like he's just built different, and he was like specifically
Well-
raised by Eva and Hideyoshi to become like a very good person to potentially become a successor if something were to happen or whatever. Like they
I also
specifically
think
raised him in a
that-
very nice way. So
That up until the ending memes, he is absolutely in his mind convinced that all of what Maria is saying is just like her childhood fantasy. I think that until there's that weird ending where it seems like they're trying to trick Battler into thinking that Beatrice is real, he is fully convinced that it is like another person, so he has no reason to like, I guess. Well, never mind.
Good one.
Well,
Go on, keep cooking.
yeah, go.
Yeah, go in the kitchen.
I was just saying, like, because your argument is that he never really seems to lash out at Maria for talking about Beatrice. Number one, I don't think that he thinks that Maria could have done it at all. I don't think that there's a single speck of a thought in his mind that this child could be, again, stabbing stakes through people's hearts. Like,
Listen.
but
Well, Jessica's the opposite. This child did it all. This child killed my father.
I got it.
But like,
I got it.
Like he's
No,
you know, he spends the entire thing talking about the fact, he and Jessica both spend the entire thing talking about the fact that, like, explaining why Maria could have ended up being as, like, mentally fucked up as she is. So I think that he genuinely thinks that she's just, like, delusional and has, like, mentally, like, ticked her off of his list of, we're not going to deal with her because she's crazy.
Like, can you blame them?
But if you flip over the chessboard on that, okay, he, behind the scenes, could be using that to his advantage and be the killer and using Maria to further his little murder game here, okay? He could be working with Maria. Maria might not be directly involved in the murders, but George might be convincing her that Beatrice is giving her letters or whatever, some shit, playing into her delusions there. Okay, and if it's not George, it could also be somebody else. Just anybody could be playing into the delusion or whatever. But in my mind, my theory right now, I'm sus on George. Okay, I just want that to be known. I'm sus on that. But there is one other thing we got to bring up. Okay, it was one of the first things in this volumes. Okay, everybody knows when you're growing up, boys, they lean towards sports, physical activities, and girls, all go into witchcraft. They become witches. They're the occult, okay? They become Beatrice, all right? All of them. It's just so much of just like them trying to explain away why Maria's like this. And I think it takes them a while to be like, you know, maybe it's not all that. Maybe it's just because her mother was abusive to her, and so she just went into the occult because that felt comforting to her, a means of control, maybe, or like just something to take her mind off her or something. No, it was at the beginning just a theory of like, you know, some women just these days they really focus on the occult when they get of a certain age. They just really play into those delusions. This is the thing.
Well, see, now I think she's a witch.
I mean, she might be. You know, anything's possible. And they're in the Golden Land now, okay? Anything's possible in the Golden Land, especially dying again and again and again. These things are possible. Okay. What other events do we want to talk about before the bonus meme things here? Okay, so we had Cannon dying, suspicion about Kumasawa, arguments about who killed it. Cannon was stabbed with another one of those stakes. I forget if it was in the chest or stomach or somewhere else. But somewhere they were stabbed, and they pretty much died on the spot, right? There was like no...
They were able to drag him out, and they tried to revive him, but it was just a lost cause. He died almost immediately afterwards.
And then Jessica was heartbroken over that, because Jessica very clearly had a crush on Cannon. So I thought that was funny. Jessica and George both had crushes on the servants, and I know George's parents, like Ava was like, you were gonna do what, George? You were going to marry that woman? I just wonder what Natsuhi would have thought about her marrying Cannon.
Even liking him, just
or
like
Kraus. No. Bro, Kraus would lose his fucking mind probably.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The blood pressure skyrockets.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah, but Cannon kind of just kept himself away from a lot of that prior to that, so it didn't seem like it ever really fully got to the point like Shannon and George had. But Jessica very clearly had a thing for Cannon, and now Cannon's gone. So it's very sad. A lot less impactful than it was for George for us, because as the viewer we're shown like a whole ass scene of them together and him giving her a ring and her putting on the ring or whatever. With Jessica and Cannon, it seems like their relationship was mostly just, you know, they both lived on this island together and she got to know him over time, likes him, and that was, it seemed like it was like unrequited or like one-sided, and like they probably never talked about it. As far as I could know, maybe there was something that I didn't remember, but it seemed like
that's all they show in this part. There is one sad detail though that I don't think they showed it, but I don't think they actually called back to it.
Okay.
During the fight with Ava, when Natsuhi and Ava are fighting back and forth, the yelling argument, Jessica gets heated too because
has the asthma attack, and
she has the asthma attack, and Canon is the one that has her inhaler.
Yeah, that does get called back to, like, once. Like, after he dies and Jessica is sitting on the floor outside of the door, I think that Battler is kind of standing there. And, they're kind of like, why is she so upset? And Battler reasons out in his head, like, oh, like, Canon very obviously cared for her. There's another scene. Oh, no, it's when, sorry, I just read this, so I have it all fresh in my mind. When they're in the room and Battler is looking at the books, there's literally a line where he's like, oh, she's having like another asthma attack, and George is like leave her alone. She's going through a whole lot, and there's literally a panel of her holding the inhaler, and then like a very vivid like flashback panel of Canon handing the inhaler to her. Like, so it is not a subtle callback either. It's like very obvious that that's the conclusion that Battler came to.
Yeah.
Rip.
Whoops.
Whoopsie. And that was all because they smelled something weird in the basement, and then when they went there, that happened.
And the thing that they were smelling was Kinzo's fried corpse.
So
Freshly cooked.
Forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about
that yet.
Yeah, so that was a whole thing. That whole series of events happened. Then they realized that Kinzo's corpse was the cause of that smell. Now, here's the thing with that I want to bring up, okay? And Battler mentioned this for like a bit, and then we just assumed that it had to have been him. I don't think that's fucking him. I know they're trying so hard to say it's him because they're like, this guy had 6 toes, and he had this gene thing that potentially gives him 6 toes, so we knew he had 6 toes or whatever. And also, he had the burned key. I'm like, okay, sure, but you don't burn the body like that and leave it in this weird spot to burn the body unless this is very clearly not that body. When all we've done with the past bodies is just put a stake through them. I don't remember the epitaph saying something about burning them. Maybe there was something about it, but because I'm just like, there's no shot this is him. This has got to be.
Listen, that's just what you do with your exes, okay?
And here's my other thing too. I don't know if some of these other deaths were actually some of these people too. They made them very much look like it, but they had a whole thing before where they mentioned how they would bring all these servants on, and there's a theory that like they were using those servants for ritual sacrifices or whatever. And I'm just like, we could explain some of these weird deaths by just putting some other corpse there and making it look like them, or like destroying their bodies in certain ways.
There are only a handful where we for sure saw their faces, because I know we saw Natsuhi's face, we saw Ava, we saw whatever her husband's face was.
Yeah.
And Shannon's.
Yeah. And I'm just like, very easily, we could create a whole confusing scenario where we assume there's only a certain number of people involved now because of these deaths. And even if we assume there's one extra person, it's only a set number. But then it turns out these bodies were actually old dead bodies or something like that. Or just completely dead bodies of like somebody completely different or whatever. I'm just like, they're just assuming too hard that the only dead bodies they would find are them, and that there could not have been dead bodies here beforehand in some kind of way or whatever, especially with the burned body. Okay, you can do 1,000,001 things with the burned body. The fact that the only identifying things about him is the fact that he has 6 toes, which they say is rare, but we're also a rich fucking family. I think we can figure out a way to specifically find people to bring to the island and then kill who could also have 6 toes with the amount of money we fucking have. Okay, I think that there's probably a way to do that. All right, and then they're like, oh, but the key proves it, bro. You can't make more copies of these keys? Are you serious?
One kind.
We can only have 2 sets of keys, one of which is on the master. The master can't make another copy of the key? We can't do that?
Or they put the key into the new dead body that they were putting in there.
Yeah, but So I'm just like, we can't just assume these are the only 2 keys. You can have another copy of these fucking keys that have been made or whatever. Like, this is not an impossible thing to happen. And then you're just going to assume, oh, nobody else could possibly get into this room because we have the only 2 sets of keys. No, bullshit. So I'm already calling sus on some of the things that we're laying down. All right. And I'm honestly surprised Battler hasn't brought up some of these already. But he probably will eventually. But I will say, okay, one of the other things I'm surprised Battler only realized now, bro, you're in the room with the giant epitaph and it takes you until the end of volume 4 to realize, they're following this epitaph that we learned about in like the first couple chapters and very much described. Gouge this person this night, gouge this part this night, gouge this. And it's like, 6 sacrifices? How many? 6 sacrifices? That's weird. Why?
Last stream.
Why? We waited until the very end of volume 4 to be like, they're recreating this.
The point of no return was when they realized.
I'm like, you just learned about this like a day ago and you not thinking, that's a little weird. But that's where I'm just like, maybe it's, Battler's still too much in his head focused on like all the other stuff happening. Maybe there's a weird shock factor thing happening. But
I mean, he did become an orphan that day.
I would understand all that. If the first letter, first letter did not specifically say, I'll let you guys go, or everything will be undone if you solve the riddle of the epitaph that will tell you where the gold is. If you solve that, then everything will be undone. We don't think about the epitaph again immediately after? What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Several of these things y'all have brought up will be brought up again
I'm sure they will.
Don't worry.
I'm sure they will.
Last stream.
I'm sure they will. But I'm just like, my God. Because, like, I understand it's a whole thing where a lot of the time we're just debating whether or not a witch is involved or is some of these things humanly possible. And we bring up a couple times, the easiest way to prove Beatrice is real is for Beatrice to show up. Why hasn't he shown up yet? Why hasn't she just appeared in front of us? She's a witch, she could do whatever. Why is she not here yet? And Maria's whole thing is just like, she hasn't been resurrected yet, or she will at a certain time after certain kills have been there. But in the meantime, it's like,
Beatrice can't show herself in front of Battler specifically because he's so immune to magic.
That's what I'd say too.
Until she revives, which is at the very end of the episode, that's only when she can appear in front of him because she has revived. The whole banquet has been a success. Now she can appear before him, and he can still deny her.
Oh, you're finally here. Well, I don't buy it. Sorry. Try again. Try again.
Well, if she were real, she would just show herself. Oh, well, you're Beatrice? No.
Again, it is another one of those things where it's like, okay, there is a person in front of me that does look like the portrait, but that doesn't mean she's a witch. It could have just been a person in cosplay. I don't fucking know. I don't believe in witches, so you might be physically in front of me, but you got to do something impossible now too, or whatever. But then we go into like the Dreamland, Golden Land fucking bonus memes, and it's a whole question of if any of that's real or if it's fantasy memes. And that's, again, one of the whole themes is the conflicts between wanting to figure out the mystery of what's going on as a murder mystery novel, trying to figure out what trick could have been done to do certain things and which characters could have been involved in it. Understanding that many of these things, you could come up with some kind of weird way to do it that is not a witch, but that does not mean that a witch did not do these things. And that's the whole thing where it goes into the whole, like, okay, you could technically explain this, but a witch could also have been involved. And it kind of goes into, in my mind, the whole idea of, and this is what really interests me about this whole idea of, like, all these kind of fictional stories or whatever, where it's trying to say, even fantasy stuff that you try to write, you can find some people that will try to explain how it's not like a supernatural thing or not like a fantasy thing, and actually could have been done through this kind of thing or this kind of science or this kind of concept, or this person could have done it and made people think that it looked like illusions and shit like that. And there's a whole bunch of kind of things, and I kind of like get of that mindset too when I'm doing my anime science stuff, and like I'm talking about like sending vampires into space, and it's like vampires aren't real. You know, I'm basically Battler. I'm like, vampires aren't real. Vampires aren't real. Technically speaking, vampires aren't real, but that just means that it would be a person with porphyria and whatever and all these other things going on with their body that makes them not produce these things. So technically speaking, it's not a vampire, it's just a human with very vampire quality or some shit like that. Like that's, you know, the kind of mindset that this story seems to be getting us in the mindset of, especially with the ending bits, with the bonus memes, and the author afterward especially just flat out says it, I think. I really want to, when we get to it, read out directly the afterword, because that it's just good. It's really good. But
so going back a little bit though.
Yes.
So they all border themselves up in Kenzo's lab.
Yep.
And they get a letter that basically nobody could have put there.
Yep.
And Natsuhi freaks out. And she's like, okay, I saw George, Battler, and Jessica. They were all behind me. Or they were all in front of me. They couldn't have done it. So it must have been somebody else in this room. The only people left are Maria, Genji, Kumasawa, and Goldo. Or not Goldo, Nanjo. They're the only ones alive. And she says, you guys have to leave. So she kicks them out.
Yep.
And then Battler reads the second letter, the second thing in the letter, and it's another pentacle, and he searches for it. Takes him, we don't know how long, but it's probably about half an hour, a couple hours or so.
Searching through all of Kenzo's books and stuff for history on it.
Yeah, it's not quick. It probably took him a couple hours or so. But he finds it, and it's Discord.
I know that app. App. We're using that right now.
It is the pentacle for Discord. So it's to sow distrust between groups and specifically to separate them.
Yep.
So they realize, we need to go get Maria right now. Like, at the very least, we need to get her. She's 9. Like, let's be real. She couldn't have done this. Because by then, they've kind of chilled a bit. Jessica especially. But Natsuhi is like, look, Jessica, you're all I have left. And I'll protect George and Battler, but I will do anything to protect you. We're not leaving. And then they get a phone call.
That pentacle, when I was reading about that and their reaction to it, I'm like, this was the point of the pentacle. Not that it was magically causing discord between them. In my mind, the point of the pentacle was to immediately have them all run out of the room, try to find them, and discover the bodies. So I'm like, okay, 4D chess we're playing here.
Yeah,
for real.
So that is one thing where it's
chess
like,
reference?
if Kenzo were to stay in his room and not open the door, he would be safe because she can't get in there.
Yep.
But she still has her ways to get in. That's the fun thing with it. But like in the VN, it's really good how this whole scene goes out, because it's like it's completely quiet, and then you hear the phone ring, and it's just like, oh my god, phone rings, nobody's there, but they can hear singing. So they run out. It's Maria, and they see that she is facing the wall, and Genji, Kumasawa, and Kanjo are dead. They have been slaughtered. And Maria's like, I don't know what happened.
Very brutally. They make a whole show of how massively and gruesomely they are destroyed, and Maria's just like turned towards the wall singing. It's like, oh, I didn't even know that happened.
LMAO, what?
That way.
So he's like, well, Beatrice showed up, and she said she was going to pick a few of us as the sacrifices. She needed 3 more, and I had the scorpion charm, so she just told me to start singing, so I did, and that's it. And they're kind of like yelling, but kind of they're just really like frustrated, but also just bewildered at Maria. And then they realize Natsuhi's not there anymore. Natsuhi boarded them up in the room and left because she found another letter. That letter, we don't know what the contents, but
we
she
never read that letter, did we?
Nope, because she ran off with it, I think. Either that or
Yes.
Battler found it, something, but like,
So
she ran off.
yeah, she found a letter and then immediately ran off, and then the next time they found her, this whole thing. But you keep going.
Yeah, so she has a confrontation in front of the giant portrait in the, I guess, lobby area of the main mansion, in front of the Beatrice portrait. And she has her shotgun there, and she fires. And then the kids find her, and she has shot herself in the face.
Oh my
There is a
God.
bullet through her forehead.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
With a shotgun.
Oh
In her
my God.
Smoke blowing.
Smoke blowing. And then, as they're trying to figure out why did she shoot herself, Maria goes, "Oh, Beatrice, you're here! Congrats on reviving!" And there in the darkness is a woman who looks just like the portrait right behind her of Beatrice.
Okay, I want to real quick, okay, with that whole scene. All right, my Battler brain mode, okay. Flipping over the
God.
chessboard here. Okay, trying
Not
to
the
disprove
yet.
Beatrice here, okay?
Not the Tea Party. Not the Tea Party.
Not
yet.
the Tea Party. No. I'm talking about the whole question of why did Natsui shoot herself? I don't
Yes.
think she did. So what I
No.
think happened.
Oh, big brain here.
So what obviously. But no, what I think happened specifically was she didn't intend to shoot herself. She accidentally shot herself by shooting forward, and then it ricocheted off something and hit her in the head.
Okay.
That's what I think happened.
I don't know what there can ricochet.
I listen.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it.
Listen.
Listen, it's that special Winchester model.
You never know, okay? Anything's possible with the power of a witch trying to make weird shit happen, okay? Anything's possible, all right?
Deluxe.
It's-
Also, I'm realizing now, I wonder if, I'm assuming that the specific model Winchester was chosen specifically because of the occult ties.
yeah, that's what, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I'm just now realizing that they do specify it's a Winchester.
They specify
not,
it's a Winchester.
Yeah. But so they see Beatrice, and then it fades to black. Now in the visual
That's
novel,
it. We're done. Bye,
in the
everybody.
visual novel, it's the wildest like cold ending because you see Battler looking at her. I think it shows her sprite. It cuts to black, and then there is a scrolling credits of what you see, of part of what you see, basically that ending of the letter of the record of what happened. All
Yeah.
of that is a giant scrolling text, and the witch's record of who died and who kind of survived.
Question mark?
Question mark?
Question mark? The missing ones?
Survived with an asterisk?
Yeah.
And then it just ends with like the when the seagulls cry, none shall be alive. And
Oh
then
my
it
God, when
boots
the
you back
seagulls
to
cry.
the home
That's
screen.
the thing.
They said it. They said Umineko. Oh my God.
It just boots you back to the home screen.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
for
done.
real?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it pops up a little thing that says you have unlocked the tea party.
Yo.
Oh.
So
Ooh.
we go to the tea party. That is the next part where we see Battler kind of floating around in a dream state, and then he's in a little tea party room with his family members and Shannon and Cannon. And they're like, oh, "Man, you had such a cool death. Oh no, you had a cooler death than me."
They're like acting like it's like the aftermath of like them like playing out a murder mystery and none of it was real
Yeah.
or whatever. That was so funny, wasn't it?
And Battler's response is, "Whoa, what
what do you-
happened? What his
what are you
response
talking about,
though
Jesse?
is his response is, "Wait,
no
you
witch.
guys think a witch did that?
Nah.
And they're like, Battler, come
You're
on.
serious?
Come on, Battler. Come on. At
You
this
think
point.
a witch killed you? Really?"
Yeah,
To be
now they're all looking at
fair-
Battler like he's crazy. Of course a witch did this, Battler. What are you talking about? And then I just imagine some of them have like a doing that look on their face where it's like, shut the fuck up, bro. Shut the fuck up. You gotta go with the bit, okay? Or she'll be angry because they're in like a place where they're like only okay right now because they're pretending to believe in Beatrice and like surrender to her and all that. They're just pretending to like be there
in
for
her
Beatrice.
domain.
Okay, they're there for her. But once they start like doubting her or like arguing with Battler about it, and Battler just keeps running his mouth about how much he does not believe in her, then they start falling apart and fucking dying again. And shit.
Spoilers, Beatrice is real. She has
What?
revived them all for this tea
Bullshit.
party.
Bullshit.
Because she cannot fully revive yet because Battler does not believe in her existence. And he will
Bullshit.
keep on denying her.
I don't
If he
believe in her.
believed in her existence, she'd be able to open the Golden Land and revive.
Not true.
But she
Not
can't.
true. Not true. It's not true. It's bullshit.
not.
It's all bullshit. She's not real.
Well, and the thing that was funniest to me about that was George and Jessica's spirits afterwards insisting that he like stick to his guns and be like, don't fall for it. I think there were only a couple lines about it. 'cause then
Yeah,
it was
Jessica
Maria.
especially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they know that, like, yeah, like, she does exist, but at the same time, somebody needs to, like, stand up to her because she has ultimate control over them right now.
Are you
And then
drunk?
Beatrice shows up. She's
Wow.
like, I kind of like men like you.
She's just like, you interest me. Everybody else just kind of is acting like they believe in me now. You're just very loudly saying you don't believe in me, even though I'm physically in front of you. That's cool. I'm
You're
gonna
so
fuck with you.
goofy.
I'm gonna fuck with you forever. I'm just gonna ruin your life.
You're
forever
literally
and
my
ever.
plaything now.
I'm really hoping.
Literally.
I'm really, because again, I'm still in the assumption of the next volume we start, it's just going to be the beginning of the loop of like whatever's going on with the story again, but things are going to be slightly different. And I hope in the next playthrough, or one of the next playthrough, my original prediction about what Umineko is will be right, and Beatrice will just be one of the like drunk ants just torturing the family. One of the loops, it will happen, I swear.
At least we don't have
Is
to
your
wait
aunt.
for Event Horizon
Which-
this time.
Which, by the way, we didn't bring up yet, or maybe I don't think we did, about how Beatrice in the real world, well, before these events, might have been Kinzo's mistress,
Yes.
and
You
died.
do.
Because so Kinzo, he had 4 children with his wife, but he was never really in love with her, and
It's
that's
more of
what
just
they
like for
allude to.
politics of the family.
It was purely a political marriage.
And so he falls in love with Beatrice. How they met, I don't think they fully mentioned or whatever, but they met at some point, and he fell for her so hard. When she did die, he lost it, and that's where he got into the occult shit because he wanted to bring her back to life, which kind of like changes things with the story to where it's like, because like originally in my mind it's like she gave him all the gold through her witchcraft or whatever, therefore he's like devoted to her like a servant like that, and so he's trying to like summon her back as like a witchcraft servant thing. But now with that kind of added detail, it's more like his long lost love, the only love that he truly had, passed away, and now he spent like the remainder of his life trying to find some weird satanic way to bring her back to life. And that's kind of where we get to the beginning of this story. And then like there's just the potentiality of somebody abusing that to just murder people, or maybe it actually is just all ritual to bring her back, you know. It's that kind of thing. So no, it's not true. It's not true. So we have this whole thing where we have Kinzo's backstory. It's a made-up tale.
It never happened.
It never happened. So like Kinzo and Beatrice and where was I going with it? Oh, you just mentioning that scene. I just want to make sure that we mention that scene because I don't think we had mentioned it
Yes.
before. So
That
there's a
is
very
important.
important detail to know for this because, you know, it goes again towards the idea of like, was she a real person then too, or was she a witch, or like was she a real person then and now she's a witch, or like, you know. So what happened with that? Is she a witch now that she's been revived, or was she always a witch? How did she directly like give the gold, or was it more like more metaphorical about her giving him gold or whatever? Questions about that now that we know that there might have been a real life Beatrice prior to the witch version that we know or whatever.
And that Genji and Kumasawa are fully under the assumption that like Beatrice was a real person, that she did live and that she was his mistress. So it's not. That's one point that Battler thinks of, is like, oh, it's not just that they think she's a witch, it's more that they know that she existed at one point, and Kinzo believes so hard that she's a witch that they have probably just kept that up to appease him, to help him.
So, like, yeah, all those scenes where they're saying, like, Beatrice is real, like, could just all just be them just saying, playing into it, just to, like, appease that whole stuff. Where it's like, at first, when we start these volumes, they make it sound like, no, she's actually a real witch that's haunted the lands the whole time, but, like, it's really just like them always. Now, here's the thing with that, though.
Just ignore that she shows up at the end of the volume. Just ignore
exactly.
that.
If you ignore that, I'm just like, the whole time leading up to it, though, I'm just like, but why didn't you just bring up earlier that it wasn't, it was literally just a thing that you said to appease the master? When you explained to Battler, we couldn't say that to him? I understand saying it to the master. We couldn't explain to Battler that it was a mistress at that time? We couldn't explain that to him? Was it because of Maria? I don't know.
It'll be explained later.
Right. I know it'll be explained later. I'm just asking these questions now because I hope everything gets explained later. That's a bold hope, I know, but we have most things explained later. Okay, a few things explained.
Sorry.
Okay.
The Mochi dying gif.
Something explained. It's fine. I'm just going to headcanon everything. It'll be fine. What do you have, Turndo? What do you got for us?
Are all the events we saw real time, or were they like kind of like a Frankenstein, where we're kind of like assuming that's what we got from Maria's diary in a bottle?
That's a good question.
Find out.
God damn it!
It's
I don't like your tone. I don't like the way you said that.
Because it's like an unreliable narrator, and this is like everything that Maria said.
Yep. Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, because this is just like, are the events we're seeing real, or was it all just a written story that Maria specifically wrote? Is this all just a fanfic that she wrote about her family?
Or was this all a made-up tale, a total fabrication?
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
do me a favor.
What?
Next time, like before next stream, could you get like the Jonathan Frakes, the opposite of that one, like that's true and it happened?
Oh.
Listen, we'll figure it out.
Don't worry,
Okay?
we already have that.
Oh, thank God.
We do? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's close enough. Yeah, this is close enough.
That is actually her cackle from the VN. So every time she ends up talking, it's just.
Which one is it? I'm looking here.
Yeah, you know, it's not. It's not. It's not.
You don't have it. I have it.
I can
Listen,
add that.
women
if I'm
are the
sent
ones that get
sound
into
file,
the
but-
occult shadow. You couldn't have it.
Yeah, true. We have. We have shit like that. Okay, we have what do I want dunk. We also have a.
Like, you can't not like Marvel. It's amazing.
We have that, and we also have.
Here
comes a big one.
Christmas, just a week away.
A week away.
Not even a week.
All right. No more soundboard memes. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so, all right.
It's funny, chap.
Okay, very important. The Tea Party stuff all happens, and then
And then we get to the witches' tea party.
The witches' tea party. Oh my god. It's like written in the official thing as secret tea party with like 4 question marks or whatever. It's like feels like you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, in the VN they don't actually label it. They label it as 4 question marks, but it is the witches' tea party.
Okay.
Because the description for it is witches' tea party.
And so
that's a good old question mark. My favorite location.
My favorite chapter.
And so we have Beatrice and another witch talking. So how do you say this witch's name? Burncastle?
Burn Castle, Burn Cancel, however.
Just whatever works. Okay.
I think either is fine. I don't actually remember her kana right now.
So,
Burn
and then there was,
Castles?
another
do
one
Lady DK.
mentioned. Was what?
DK
DK Burger King. Lady Burger.
Lambda Delta.
Okay.
Yeah, Lambda Delta. That's the other one
I
that's
don't want to say any
mentioned, but
names
not.
just in case.
That's the other one that's there, but or mentioned, but not there, right?
Murdered by Beatrice.
You will
man.
know when Lambda Delta shows up.
Yeah,
Okay, I will say-
that particular one was the one that made me think that maybe Maria was a witch, because it almost looked like the silhouette that they provided for Lambda Delta looked like Maria.
Well, so no. So
No.
I will say I recognize Lambda Delta's shadow thing from other Umineko memes I've seen. So I recognize them as a character. And I'm mentioning this because I also recognized her appearing in like a couple earlier frames in the volumes. When like Maria's watching TV, it looked like she's in the TV. And I think when she was drawing something, or like they found her doodles or something like that, I think she was in it somewhere too.
Yeah, she is in some of the doodles, I'm pretty sure.
She's in the walls, Nyan.
Yeah. I don't remember if Burn Castle was there, but I think there was like Lambda Delta, and I think maybe this other girl who I recognize from Umineko memes was also in one of them, but I don't know for sure. I recognize them is what I'm saying. So I don't know for sure what they represent or what they. Oh, I think they directly said now, but prior I didn't know. Now they said Lambda Delta is the witch of certainty.
Yes.
And Burn Castle is the witch of miracles.
Yep.
And Burn Castle specifically, in this scene, because it's just Burn Castle talking to Beatrice, is like Beatrice is trying to like entertain Burn Castle with like torturing the Ushiromiya family, and Burn Castle's like, listen, I can get bored pretty quickly, so I'm just gonna start fucking with the narrative by helping out Battler, or like saying I'm gonna help out Battler at random times to try to make this more interesting for me, because this might get boring if we just keep doing this the same way or whatever. I don't know.
That's a real question.
Yeah.
Can Battler receive help from witches if he doesn't believe in them?
Well,
That remains to be seen.
I think he doesn't have a choice in that matter. So I don't think he has much of a choice in what goes on in the story right now. Okay.
Usually.
Yeah, it's, everything will be fine in the next iteration, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
we just gotta find the goddamn One Piece apparently, and we'll be good.
So true.
So they didn't mention it here, but part of the reason she is helping him is because she used to be a human at one point. All witches used to be human at one point.
I used to be human myself too.
She, she's like, oh, you're a human. I used to be human.
Once upon a time.
I'll throw a few miracles your way.
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
Just a few.
Because the only thing that can kill a witch is boredom.
Yeah,
Supposedly.
True. So
well,
true.
I think that she specified that boredom was what can kill her. I don't know
Yeah.
if that was witches in general.
I mean, you're not gonna kill anyone.
Listen, it could kill me too, and I'm not a witch. Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Do we know that for
Pretty
sure?
deadly.
I don't even know that for
I
sure.
have a
I might be a
source,
witch.
honestly.
Listen, I was told as a guy I get into sports. Okay, that's what I was told. So
Yeah, man, you can't be into the occult.
yeah, sorry, I wasn't allowed.
Shep is definitely a soccer witch.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, so Beatrice is just like, I'll do everything I can to kill again and again and again and enhance your
I'll do it
entertainment
again,
value
too.
doing this stuff, because I'm like the endless witch and I could just keep doing this shit forever and it'll be real fun. So I'll just fuck with this family forever. And what was the thing with Lambda? It was supposed that like she defeated Lambda Delta.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff that will probably be explained more in depth later. So
Not
I'm not too
really.
worried about it, but
Those won't be. Those are actually references to Higurashi, because if you
Oh.
look at Burn's design, she looks very much like Rika. And
Oh.
if you look at Lambda's design, she looks very much like a different character. That's a spoiler for Higurashi.
I see.
It's their references to Higurashi. They won't really that stuff won't really come up in this it will later, but it's more as fan service nods to it. I think at one point in the VN, in the little witch part, they're like, and please go read Higurashi no Kukorari.
Oh, true. So what you're telling me is we have to stop reading Umineko right now. We have to read
Yes.
all of Higurashi,
Yes.
the
Yes.
visual novel, and then
Yes.
come back to continue Umineko.
And then and then the manga, and
No,
then
no,
we
no.
come back to
Oh my god, so many layers to
And
this.
then we read Black Butler.
Wait, is the Higurashi
and then we
manga
read the
good?
Bible.
Is the Higurashi
Why is
manga
that
good?
happening?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's
Well, I
pretty
do
good.
know
I
that
read some of it.
The artist
when I
for
was in
this
middle
did
school.
also help out with some of those, so that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, specifically some of these spin-off Higurashi ones.
Right. Okay, so all right. Witches Tea Party memes. Burn Castle saying that they're gonna help out Battler, probably by slipping in information. Maybe giving him access to information they shouldn't in this loop or some shit like that. That's always my assumption if we go into looping
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know for sure. Again, I will just say, I don't know 100% for sure if we will just restart the loop, but with the mentions of endless cycle of tormenting them and Ryukishi exclusive, I don't think I know a single story he's written
Literally,
that is not a
Ryukishi is
time
the
loop.
writer.
I tried reading Iwai Hime, okay, and I'm like, oh, this seems like a cool thing. Oh, there's the time loop.
There it
There's
is.
the time loop. It took me a while to get there, but there it is.
Is that Silent Hill that he's making gonna come out?
Oh my god, when does that time loop start? Oh my god. Oh my god. So yeah. So okay, we are most likely in for time loop shenanigans, and we're just going to be starting from the beginning, especially with the fact that
You're
we seem
assuming
to.
a lot, chap.
I know it's a bold
My-
assumption from the video
my
game bad
assumption-
end sequence that we had here, okay?
My assumption honestly was going to be that they're just going to go through like replay scenes repetitively, and either he'll be a spectator or he'll be in his body, but the'll be like redoing it.
Just
Okay,
remember,
not
there's
necessarily.
8 episodes of this, and they are all much longer than this one.
Oh boy.
I got it. It's going to be summertime
all
rendering all
9
over
days.
again, okay? He's died, and now he goes to an earlier save point, and then every
I
time
was
he dies, he goes to a
Just
later save
rejoicing
point.
Anonymous
the fact that
code.
we don't have to deal with the approaching event horizon.
Yeah. So, it's okay. He's going to defeat Battler by hacking the Winchester's bullet so that it fires and stops him.
Shut the fuck up.
And then the World War II planes are going to fly around in the sky.
They'll get rid of typhoon. That's how they handle it.
True.
Boo!
Okay.
And then Beatrice is going to be piloting one and going,
I want to also highlight, okay, I don't think I took a screen cap of it. It's hard for me to take a bunch of screen cap because I'm reading it from like my tablet, from like my Kindle version that I bought of it because I'm reading it legally, okay, from my
Wow.
actual local Amazon bookstore, okay. So it's hard for me to take like screen caps or whatever. But one panel that I want to is when like Beatrice shows up in front of the painting during like the big climax towards the end, and she's saying all this shit about like, all right, it's time to go, and Battler's just like, fuck off and die. He's pointing the gun at her, and then like just everything like fades away or whatever. But I'm just like, Battler just shouting "fuck off and die" to Beatrice laughing is so based. I love it. He's just like, I'm tired of this shit, I'm tired of this witch bullshit. And we had quite a few scenes earlier too of Maria going into her rambles about Beatrice and the occult and stuff, and like explaining things in evil ways. And Battler's just like, hey, could you shut the fuck up now? I'm done listening to this bullshit. Could
He
you
literally
like,
started punching her.
yeah.
at least it wasn't like as bad hitting as like her mother was doing. But
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
meant to
like,
be like a playful little.
yeah, it's meant to be,
but-
knock it off, little child. Okay, this is a serious time type deal.
But it does get
It's a
it does
common
get pretty
thing within
funny
the
how common
Shield
he
family.
starts doing it.
Yeah. And George is just like, okay, that's not how you do it, Battler. Okay, Maria, that letter that you got, I know you. Don't trust me. No, Beatrice is real. Don't worry. You don't have to be angry. Okay, Beatrice is real, sure, but
But if it wasn't
you know,
Beatrice,
what did the person who specifically gave you the letter? What did they look like, or things like that? And it looked like Beatrice. Beatrice is real. Ooh. Like George is doing his best to like get this crazy child to calm down and explain things to them. It's not working out.
Not working out very well.
It's not working out very well. But
He's
again,
really reconsidering his pitch to Shannon about how many kids he wanted to have.
if we have children, they can't be into Nicole. We can't do it. We can't do it.
They can't be girls. They can't be
Can't
girls.
be girls. We all know, okay? Boys get into sports, okay? Girls get into the occult, so we have to have
It's
a
a
boy.
well-known thing.
This is
Obviously.
apparently.
This has been
Apparently.
scientifically proven, okay?
Yeah, where are the stats? I want the peer-reviewed journals.
Actually, I asked Ryukishi at Anime Expo, and he told me exactly.
Oh, base. Oh, okay. All right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes
I
sense.
got the entire Google Doc right here.
Yep. True. So, I'm trying to think of what other details we need to mention. They were locked in the room together at some point. As soon as they're like, we should all go into that room, that'll be the safest because we have the 2 keys. And I'm just like, they're all gonna be together in that room with that giant fucking painting of Beatrice in there, and they're gonna lose their fucking minds. And the moment they were in there and realized they had to be in there with the giant Beatrice painting, I was like, oh no, that's not gonna be good for them mentally. For more
have
than
an
half
issue
of them
with that
believe in
scene.
Beatrice. So what's your issue?
Okay, the phone call.
Yes.
Who made the phone call? Right? Because we established it's probably not Maria because she was like standing further away. So if it was Beatrice,
Exactly.
Beatrice died in the 30s. Phones didn't exist then. So someone would have had to call Beatrice to use the cell phone.
Wait, this is way funnier.
I didn't think about that beforehand.
Checkmate, Beatrice. You
So
don't know
it
how
could-
to. You're a
It
boomer.
could be that like it wasn't Beatrice at all.
He's an ultra boomer. Actual
I didn't think
dinosaur
about that
bones
before.
over here.
Also,
Yep.
you're going. Go. Let's finish this thought before.
No,
I
you
move
go.
to
You
the
go. You
point.
go.
Okay. The second thing was this is all okay. There, according to the epitaph, Nazi could have solved all of this, but it would have required extreme measures, right? So when Nazi said to Jessica that she would do anything, theoretically speaking,
Including becoming a demon.
yes. So here's the point. In order for Beatrice to be revived, she needs exactly 13 sacrifices. So if Nazi had killed 6 more people, this never would have happened because Beatrice wouldn't have enough sacrifices to finish it.
True.
So we had to up the murder, okay, to stop the sacrifices.
Exactly.
I understand. I understand.
We have to commit some murder to stop some murder. It's a trolley problem.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it.
Nazi
And
had a gun in
specifically,
like chapter 11 or something. It was all solvable.
Yeah.
specifically, she has to kill the certain right people so that she inherits the money. Okay, is that going to be
Exactly.
easy? No, because it's her in her position. But we have a Winchester,
No, it's
and they don't.
already guaranteed for her because as long as she keeps Jessica alive
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. So we just got to
and
kill
keeps
everybody
Jessica
else.
in her good graces.
Which they make a whole big scene out of. I did want to bring this up too. I'm glad we mentioned this about the Jessica and Natsuki stuff because like when it's the whole thing of you guys got to leave. Because only these 3 I know where they were at the time when the envelope showed up. So you guys gotta leave. If Jessica was one of them, and they bring this up too, if Jessica was one of them, no shot is she kicking her daughter out of the room. So
Nope.
no, like there's no way. And like a part of that, is probably because she cares for her. But another reason is, like you mentioned, the inheritance. Okay, we can't lose her because of the inheritance. That's another big important thing. So it's not just love that could be a factor in that. It's also the inheritance. You gotta think about that. As long as Jessica's alive, we have that.
Baby.
We have that with there. Okay, so but so either way, no shot is Jessica ever getting kicked out of that room. No shot is she being left out of that. Okay, so no way Nazi would kick them out. But it'd be real fucking weird if she was one of them and she was like, okay, all of you except Jessica gotta go. And it's like, well, what the fuck? What if Jessica did it? What? It's like, yeah.
Jessica would never. And if she did, it's just because she was on the inheritance.
But honestly, though, I don't blame her for wanting to kick all those 4 out. They felt guilty specifically about kicking out Maria afterwards. They did feel guilty about the other ones, but more specifically, they felt guilty for Maria because they were worried about her because she's very young and out there with potentially one of those adults being the killer. So, understandably concerned, but also I do not blame her, nor do I blame her for saying, fuck you guys, I'll just be the monster who kicked them out because I'm not letting my fucking daughter die or whatever. Because yeah, in that situation, no shot am I fully believing in the bullshit narrative of a witch. I might believe in the idea of another person outside of the room, but if I believe this letter's there and it was not there before and one of these people behind me clearly was responsible for putting it there, you guys are getting out of the fucking room. I don't give a fuck. You're either getting out of the room or I'm shooting all of you for it right now. So you better get the fuck out before I start blasting, Because one of you guys is definitely the killer.
Start blasting.
So sorry that you were at the wrong place at the time that happened. You guys can all discuss it amongst yourselves after I kick you out of the room. Deal with it then. Get the fuck out. Don't want to hear from you. Oh, what's that? You guys are all murdered to a pulp? Oh, well, I feel kind of bad about that. But too bad. I had to do it. Had to be done. Couldn't do much about that. What was I supposed to do? Die? What was it, dumb? What do you want to do? So, I don't blame her at all for making that decision. It was a whole thing where they kept feeling guilty about it, though, and it kept ramping up how they felt guilty about it, and then they find the pentacle trying to, let them know that, oh, man, it was all a trick, and we got to go see them right now, and then they get the phone call, they're like, oh, my God, we really got to go see it, and I'm just like, okay, so all of this was just adding up to lead them out of the room, specifically, so, but I still, all they had to do was not fall for it. They just stayed in the room. Maybe the people outside the room wouldn't be fine because they were very much dead, very, very dead. But they would have been fine, maybe, potentially. Specifically, as long as a 13th death didn't occur. Natsuhi, you moron! What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's throwing.
But we don't know what the letter that she found said yet, because she found another letter and then immediately ran out with the letter, I'm assuming, because otherwise they would have read the letter. Or something happened to the letter on the way. So in any case, we did not get to find the letter to read it. And so she immediately runs away from that whole scene, goes all the way back based on whatever she read in it, has some kind of duel with the witch. The letter might have just offered a duel against her, and then Nazi lost the duel, and then she's dead or whatever. Or at least that's the story that's written in the weird letter explaining the story that Maria potentially wrote. So what actually happened in that room when she was alone, with her shotgun or whatever? Not sure. The Winchester? What happened? I don't know, but we don't know either.
In the room where it happened.
No one else was in the room when it happened.
Unless
it was Kinzo hiding in the room the whole time and he killed her.
You want the one winged angle engraved on your heart? Here it is.
Damn.
Sorry, you have to be a sacrifice so I can bring back my dead mistress. It has to be done. It has to be done. Sacrifices have to be made.
Seagulls cry, none shall be alive.
Well, there's also one other thing that Battler could have done to get revenge.
Yep.
Which was, since Maria sent a message out, right? And that message eventually made it to the newspapers.
Yep.
That means Beatrice has no concept of copyright. So what Battler could have done is created a smear campaign to completely discredit Beatrice. Said this person.
I missed you. I'm so glad to have you back.
I'm in it. Okay, I think Battler would agree. He would say
this is exactly what the When They Cry fandom needed. This is the new discourse we need.
I agree. Honestly, man, we're solving all the problems here. Okay, we're solving all of them, every last one of them. Name one problem that we still haven't solved yet.
The epitaph. Where's the gold?
Don't worry about that.
Gold?
Don't worry about that one. Okay, the concept of gold. Okay, who cares about it? Okay, we're here to figure out whether or not it's a witch. Whether or not it's a witch. How are you gonna spend the gold if you're all fucking dead? What are you gonna do about that?
Okay, well, Kinzo must know the location because we saw one bar, and that's worth $150,000. So it's interesting.
Oh, okay. Yes, you did a whole bunch of math. Did you want to explain what your math showed you towards the end?
Okay, so this is a very interesting period in Japanese history, right? Because
Yes.
1930, like that time, Japanese economy was completely ruined after World War II. So 1980s is a huge Japanese boom. So the yen to dollar exchange. Wait, is the yen to dollar exchange high or low? I think it's really. Oh, okay, never mind. So Japan becomes really rich in the 80s. There's like the whole Japan's top of the world. They start purchasing all that. 86 is when the economy starts to go downhill. So I think that's where all the debts thing comes in. So I think they would lose around like $300 million worth of like family fortune. But like the gold by itself is $750 million. What I wanted to ask Shadow was how you would do the calculations on the life insurance. Because according to Beatrice's death count, she murdered 18 people. And assuming the average life expectancy is 60 years and that each of them would live to the full lifespan, Beatrice effectively collected 500 years worth. And so basically, if you do the numbers, Beatrice insured each of those persons' lives for $8.3 million per year. And that was basically my calculations.
Oh my
Is it
god.
compounding?
I don't think so. I think it's just a flat rate.
Here's my question though: does Beatrice know the concept of compounding interest? That's the real question.
Was it invented at that time? Was it there?
1930s. It would have been
How
very
much is a human
obscure.
life worth?
Beatrice valued it at
It is a
$8.3 million
soul.
per year. So like, yeah, 150 million, like 15. What was it? Like $50 million a person. It was like very uneconomical for her. Like
I think
you could
all
have
we
paid.
have to do is take all the gold, go to a casino, put it all on black, hope for the best, and if we win, we're all good. We just pay back Beatrice with that. Everything will be fine, right? We just pay it off like that.
I mean, Beatrice could have like asked for 75 people's lives. Like if she insured each person at $10 million, she like did not get a return on investment.
Yeah, true.
She like overpaid.
I agree.
Look, she was hoping Kenzo would have more grandkids, but that just did not work out.
Yeah, so instead he got a shit ton of servants. I don't know
Yeah.
if they just didn't work for it or whatever.
I mean, the sacrifice servants count into the equation. That's the real question.
The other thing too, and I remembered it because of the fact of like, oh, the kids or whatever, and the fact that he named the kids a certain way that was mentioned in these volumes, very briefly, I think, about him naming them these weird names. Battler, I think, said this about like how Kinzo named them the weird names, which I remember we talked about last week that you had said was in the visual novel as a whole segment towards the beginning. And
The very opening.
Here it's mentioned in like one line while they're in his study where they're just like, huh, he was really into a whole bunch of Western stuff, Western occult shit. And it's probably related to why we have these names. But the fact that the servants' names are also changed when they come by, I'm like, is that related to his occult stuff too? I don't know, but okay.
You said something at the end of last week. The conversation went like this. Oh yeah, remind me to bring up next week about how there's supposedly an Umineko anime that it's crashed and we don't acknowledge
True,
it. Or I think that
true.
was the consensus.
True.
And Ari went, I literally already brought it up, but no one noticed.
Oh yeah.
Because I think he brought it up as like a throwaway line where he's just like, yeah, there's no anime.
And then Admis went, you guys don't like the anime?
Yeah, 'cause you asked me like how to wrap up, like how I felt about this as an adaptation. I was like, yeah, it's a great way to get into the series, aside from the visual novel, since this doesn't have an anime adaptation.
So,
nobody noticed.
So I have to also ask, because I mentioned to my Japanese teacher last night about how we started the Umineko manga, and then later that night afterwards I get the email from her, which I sent in the chat, about how she has looked into and read the synopsis for the Umineko and knows that there's a game, manga, anime, and I think she also mentioned in the call earlier that she had seen that there was a play or whatever, like a live stage thing or whatever.
Yeah, that's supposedly really good.
Yeah.
I
My
haven't
mom
to
will
watch it yet.
Lie in April, so I can't wait to tell her that Your Lie in April is becoming a musical and absolutely destroy her feelings.
By MatPat, right?
Well, yeah, but she doesn't know who MatPat is.
So, okay, so I wanted to bring all this up. I also had brought up in another Discord server that I'm in about that email, and it got to them, some of them in that server talking about Umineko, both the manga adaptation, which they agreed is also great. They of course said the visual novel is probably like the peakest of peak forms to view it, to consume it, but the manga is a pretty great way to get into it, and that they utterly hated the anime. Specifically, one person said that there's just some pieces they left out that make it just impossible to figure out whatever thing is supposed to be happening later. That was supposed to be in it or something. There's like crucial things left out that make it impossible to consume it in the way as intended, to make sense, or not make sense, but like consume the story thematically in the way that you're supposed to, or something to that effect.
Yeah. So like I love mysteries. My favorite series are mysteries. Umineko, Greyman, they're all like very intertwined, deeply connected mysteries. And the problem with that is that if you do any kind of adaptation, even say a Viz Shonen Jump localization, you have to be very mindful of not only what exactly is going on in the scene, but the bigger picture as a whole.
Yep.
And that's hard to do. And like if you're working on a budget or if it's a time constraint, you can miss some details, and those details really add up. And when you're trying, especially like anime adaptations, like even the most faithful ones, like the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood one is like one of the most faithful manga adaptations for an anime. And yet it's still missing some parts from the manga that kind of make it better in different places. You're like, especially with anime, you're just never going to get that full picture, but some do it a lot worse than others, and just skipping everything.
Yeah, I think back towards some series you probably should wait until like, or at least you on the back end when you're translating these things can like see all of it, so that you know if certain things that are worded in certain ways are important. Because there's certain words when you're translating from Japanese to English that you can interpret in multiple ways. But in some cases, especially when you get to some of the like Monogatari stuff, Nisio and Isin, where the wordplay is integral to the mystery and the thematical stuff going on later on. So,
and naming conventions.
Yes. So if something is being said in a certain way, and you're trying to translate it like weekly or whatever, and you don't realize at the time that this was not supposed to be translated like that earlier on, because it actually is pointed out later on that it's actually important because of this thing, and you've just fucked that all up for all these weeks prior, then it's like, well, fuck, that mystery just kind of got screwed over by doing that like that. That's where, like, I don't blame some series where, they're waiting for a whole series to be done before they'll start, like, localizing it officially. In some cases, like Land of Lustrous, where it's been done, I can understand why they weren't doing some things with it, maybe. It's one of those series where like some of the things happening towards the end could be super, super integral to wait until the whole thing is done to like translate properly, with all the weird like Buddhism stuff referenced and like all the other stuff that's like hinted at and alluded to and stuff like that. So it's like, I can understand waiting until the series is done officially to actually start going through and translating them. But with other series, it's, you want it, you've been licensed to translate weekly, so you just have to do the best. I remember there was a whole debate when it came to a Chainsaw Man translation for the anime, where they pointed out how somebody translated something a certain way, like you're going to have like the coolest death or whatever, from like this devil who's like the future devil who's like predicting how a certain character is going to die or whatever. He said, you're going to die in the coolest way. And the manga described it in a different word, like you're going to die in like the most horrible way or something like that. And that was integral later on when you find out how this character dies. The reason why it was translated in that way was because of later on how it happens. It's integral towards a line that's said at that time. But you wouldn't realize that at the time if you're translating an episode weekly, unless you read the manga ahead of time to know that that's what the point of that line is. And like, those are the kind of things where it's like, I can forgive it depending on how it's being released. But in other cases, if you're doing a full-blown adaptation of something, like, you know, you're doing an anime adaptation of Umineko and you did not read through all of the VN for how it should be like translated, or like how certain elements are supposed to be put into it to make sure that the mystery makes sense of it or whatever, and you don't add certain elements in that are supposed to be integral to it, that can completely and utterly ruin all of the experience. And so I have to ask though, because I don't think anybody really, they mentioned things like that for reasons why not to get into the anime. What about in terms of like visuals? How's it look visually?
Do you want to know how it looks visually?
Yes.
Oh
No,
boy.
visually.
It was made by Studio Dean.
Oh no. Oh no. Bro.
What's this
It was
mean?
made by Studio Dean in that bubble era where they were just churning them out left and right.
Oh god.
I think it came out like literally when I first got into anime. So it was like one of the first, not like the first. Yeah, 2009. It came out right after I got into Umineko. So I watched all of it, and the animation quality is it's on the scale, all right.
It's pretty high, right? It's pretty high quality.
There's certain
Sakuga?
quality to it.
Sakuga even, you know? It's got some cool Chainsaw Man cinematic looks to it. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I'm like looking in the chat to wait to see if you're gonna post something or whatever.
I'm looking through the gifts.
Oh my god. Well, I'll post the thing that Turando posted. I'll show that. This is what Turando just posted. Dean.
That's an expression.
Yeah. It'll do that to you. It's interesting Beatrice face. Interesting
favorite.
Beatrice face. Okay, that's a
I mean,
GIF.
She's not real.
I don't
Let's
I
see if there's a
actually
way for me to.
don't know what art style they based it on. It kind of looks like the PS3 sprites because obviously it's not Ryukishi's style. But it's a thing.
Does she have the ring on that you claim is very important?
Probably.
I like that probably.
Did you watch the anime?
When I was in middle school.
Fake fan. Fake fan.
fan.
Fake fan
Oh yeah,
of
she
the
does in this GIF.
Oh, hold on. I'm pulling up the
Whatever the
GIFs.
hell she's doing. There's a tiny little ring on her right finger.
Oh my god. Beatrice Umineko GIF.
I love how I can see every single frame.
All of them. All the frames.
Anyway, this is the better one.
I'll put
So
that one on screen too.
before I forget,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trendo's words of wisdom and remind me of something because I know accounting. So if that says they need to find the gold, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they found one bar of it.
Yeah.
But the contract doesn't say they need to find all of it. They just need to find it.
Well, I
No,
think
they-
specifically they have to find the place where the gold is hidden.
I got fucking damn
Yeah.
it.
And that's one of those that's one of those real things too where I'm like, is this gonna be like a One Piece meme where it's like the gold is actually like a metaphorical thing
Finding
or
me
whatever?
along the way.
You know, I don't know if that's gonna be the bullshit about it, and you just have to like realize that the gold is a specific metaphorical thing. Bro, I should just honestly, whenever we do these book clubs, just leave this GIF in like the corner or something.
Please.
Just like, oh my god, I flipped it. Just like down here, just a live. What was he, like a Portuguese streamer reaction or whatever, or was he an Italian streamer? I
Yeah,
forget.
he was trying to like play all of the visual novel, but he got like an episode in or two, and he just decided to cosplay Battler for the rest of the series, trying to figure out like he's sitting there like debating with chat, like, no, look, okay, look. Beatrice
Evil
did
one,
it this way,
evil.
okay? She did it this way, okay? This is how she did the locked room and stuff. And it's like it's this Always Sunny gif, you know?
The witch isn't real, chat.
Not real, not real. True, so true.
I mean,
Oh
you can
my
see how
God.
heated he got in there.
He's very heated.
Alright.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this GIF on for the rest of the stream. in
That's
the
how
corner,
that's
okay?
how Umineko will get you.
I believe it. I believe it. Okay, I want to read the afterword from Ryukishi, okay? The end of episode 1. This is very important, all right? I'm going to read this out. Hello, I am Ryukishi07. Welcome to the world of Umineko When They Cry. This is a classic closed circle mystery, combining a string of murders at a mansion on an isolated island with an eerie legend of a witch that surrounds the incident. After hearing that description, most people will say to themselves, oh, I could tell without reading it that there will be witchy, spooky things going on that turn out to be a series of tricks perpetrated by a regular old human. And who could blame them? Everything that's been put out with a similar description is just like that. So it's no surprise that anyone would assume those were just the rules for this kind of thing. Was it the work of a witch or of a human? Of course, these outcomes are not compatible. If it's the work of humans, the story is a mystery. And if it's the work of witches, it can't be a mystery. In other words, at the point you define the story as a mystery, it's possible for the reader to say, there's no such thing as a witch. This is all the work of a human. That would mean that I've already lost the reader's participation in the line of thinking I most wanted to evoke, that of the balancing act between occult fantasy and logical mystery. In other words, I began writing Umineko When They Cry so that the reader would be lost not in the identity, the trick, or the alibi of the killer, but in the step that comes before, whether or not the crime was even possible for a human to accomplish. Nearly all readers having just finished episode 1 should feel certain that these murders were acts of Nearly all readers having just finished episode 1 should feel certain that these murders were acts of man dressed up to look like the work of a witch. True, there are plenty of spots that are hard to explain, but you should be able to convince yourself that there's some fancy trick behind them. And I want to shake that certainty to its core in episode 2. When we meet again in the afterword episode 2, I will be very interested to see how many of you still insist that this could be the work of human beings. After all, don't you find it very arrogant to assume that all things that happen in the world can be explained by humans? Hehehehe. Are you starting to lose that confidence already? Since you are all so certain that the killer must be human, why not uphold that logic as far as you can take it? The Golden Witch will take many wicked steps to break you down. Will you still be detectives when we reunite, or will you have sunk to being the witch's furniture until we meet again?
I'd love being her furniture. She can sit on me any day.
I'm sorry.
Okay. There's so much to unpack, not just with Nyan sentence, but also with this this afterward here, okay?
So is it a shonen or a shoujo?
Yeah, yes. It's actually an isekai. Yeah.
Just like Mario.
Yes, and yes.
Yeah. It seems like this is like a writing exercise for him to set up a mystery that can only possibly be explained by a witch, and going through the hoops to see if that's even a possible thing to do when it comes to fiction. And I think I mentioned this earlier too, where it's just like, I want to figure out a story and convince my readers that you cannot explain how a certain thing happened with any kind of trick or whatever. It has to have been a witch that accomplished this thing, and there's no other way that you can explain it happening otherwise, while still retaining the type of like murder mystery thing that I want to do. I want to write a murder mystery where the answer can only be that a witch did it, or that like some kind of supernatural force did it. And he is going to systematically break us down as readers to accomplish that. We will
You are a battler.
We are essentially being tortured in the same way as Battler, but by Ryukishi, into believing that Beatrice is real and that she is torturing all of us. This is the goal. This is literally the goal of Umineko, spelled out directly by Ryukishi. So. I don't know.
Impressive, honestly.
I don't know.
First-time authors just try to actively gaslight me throughout the entire thing.
he'll accomplish it too in the end. I'm sure. Okay, I believe. I believe. But right now,
you said there's no witch, chap. What the hell?
Well, right now I'm battler mode. Okay, there can't be a witch, even if a witch is literally in front of me. Not true. Not true. This is bullshit. You're calling yourself a witch. You ain't a witch. Okay, not in the supernatural sense. Okay, you're just a trickster here. You're a trickster here. You're doing weird little tricks. Okay, Not falling for it. Not falling for this this little witchcraft mumbo gumbo whatever the fuck. Okay, not falling for it.
I don't believe this magic hocus pocus.
I don't buy
No.
it. I don't believe it.
So this is just like a Maria fan fiction, basically. So like Maria wrote like a
True.
fan fiction character.
Yeah, true.
Where's the narrator? We can't trust her.
And now she's even including Higurashi in her fanfic too. You know, so it's very interesting.
Yeah,
very
that's her
interesting.
favorite anime.
Yeah, I believe it. So the actual bonus memes, you know, the like little funny comics or whatever, continued, where they're just changing the text in them
Yeah, I
in
remember that.
important
I got it.
panels.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any specific ones I wanted to highlight. I think one of them was like we found a letter and there's something else in it and it's just a photo of like the Hideyoshi's like naked fucking dead bathroom body and George is just crying, Dad. One was like the scene of Kraus showing the gold bar to Natsuhi, but instead it's a collection of hair pieces that Kraus has. He's like, I've searched far and wide for these. It's another one is Battler snapping his fingers very violently until he's screaming and crying, I broke my finger.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god, yeah. There's some good memes still with some of those. I will say, okay, we talked a lot about the story stuff. Okay, art-wise, this still went real fucking hard with like, especially a lot of the big, long, like double spread pieces, and anything that Beatrice is in or hinted to be in just looks amazing. All the like intense action going on, all the brutal fucking violence, and like I said, I was reading these chapters last night at like fucking 3 a.m. in my bed, the darkness of my fucking bed, just lying down, trying not to pass out, or reading about how fucking gruesomely everybody in that room with Maria were just slaughtered, and they look so fucked up. Oh, and the other thing that I didn't bring up earlier, okay?
Chap,
What?
don't read Umineko at 3 a.m.
Oh, listen. Okay, that whole scene with her being murdered, and she's like, I just sang and looked away, and the bodies were there, and Battler's just like, there's some like electric tools or whatever. There's some like crazy like stuff that you could use to saw up these bodies like somewhere else, but without Maria noticing in this room or whatever. But I'm just like, well, one, she could just be lying about not noticing it, but two, it could also just be that she wasn't lying about not hearing anything, and you just swap in bodies there or whatever, like they were just dead bodies and all those people are still alive and you just brought in like dead bodies to replace them or whatever. But that's the whole thing that we kind of went over, but I don't remember if I mentioned it with those ones specifically. As soon as I saw those bodies as mutilated as they were, I'm like, this is all fucked up, and I do not actually believe any of those specific people are dead actually. But with the bonus meme that happened and it seeming like it's going to start from the beginning, I don't know. Maybe they all really did just die, and we're just going back to the beginning to try to not have them die, or maybe it was all a trick, and we have to just go back and discover what the trick was, and that's the point of it. We'll find out, I guess. Is there anything else that we got to talk about? Any other theories we want to bring up? Do we have any theories and ideas that we want to say? Anybody? Okay.
Wait, hold on. I just remember that there's a bonus meme where they turn Umineko into a fighting game character select.
Well, I mean, there is an Umineko fighting game.
Is there?
We almost wrote it up to be like a thing that we would play for like one of the streams because of the like odd number of volumes in some of the some of the like omnibus versions or whatever, like some of the episodes. Because some of the episodes 2 and 3 have like 5 volumes each. The omnibus is split them into 2 volumes each, which is what we're going to be reading based on. But they're actually like 3 volumes each. So there was an idea at some point early on where we would play, we would talk about the volume and then play a bit of the fighting game. Decided against it because apparently even specific characters, knowing specific characters are in the game are spoilers. So we're not doing that. I don't even know if we should do that when we finish episode 4, because I feel like it might be something where you have to finish the whole series to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I forgot. I was like, oh, that'd be fun, and then I was like, oh wait, there's a lot of characters from like even the Answers arcs, like episodes like 6 and 7. It's like, oh, it's not.
I won't.
Very end, we will. Is what you're telling me.
I won't lie. I am actually mad at how long the Umineko manga is, because it's so long that we only decided to read like half of it. Reasonably so, though, because half of it is still 20 fucking volumes. And if we read the full thing, it'd be like 40 volumes.
The is 160 something hours.
No, yeah, I understand that. I'm just upset on my end because book club wise, it's like a series that we'll probably have to pick up later to continue and finish. It's either that or we commit to reading it, and then that's just like literally like another like 10 weeks devoted to this,
half
which
a year.
You know, that'd be a lot of Umineko. We already had like Dorohedoro break our record for longest series at 23 volumes, and now we're going to be like, how about 40 volumes? What about 40 volumes?
You know, listen, peak is worth it.
Yeah,
You know what I was thinking about when I was thinking about the fact that I want to read Black Butler is I kind of high-key want to go back and do I Am a Hero. I know that there are some content issues with that regarding Twitch, but that was honestly a really fun read, the 2 volumes that we did do, and I wouldn't mind going back to that one.
No, I didn't mind talking about I Am a Hero on Twitch at all. There was just some content things where, like, I think Shadow didn't really want to be involved with that discussion or whatever, because he felt like
it was just like the first 2 volumes. I think afterward I'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things
I read
with
a bit more, you probably wouldn't.
There's a lot of things with I Am a Hero where it's a very adult, you know, in various ways. But like it's that's a series where it's also very long. I think how many volumes is that? Like
it was a lot.
I Am a Hero. I'll look it up. I Am a Hero manga. It is 22 volumes. It's not as. It's only slightly as long as Dorohedoro, so you know it's not too bad with that. But it's also like very different in terms of pace of like what's going on with the story too. So it might be a little quicker to read in some areas of it, but yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to it in the future, but that's definitely something to where like, you know, that's a series I wouldn't mind going back to read. I'm also still going to keep suggesting a New Game, even though that one, I'm just like, we're probably never going to back to it from a vote in book club, just because of like, we've already read the first 2 volumes ages ago, and people probably aren't going to want to vote it again just because of how long ago that was, and it's slice of life or whatever, which I don't mind, but I'm still going to suggest it because it's peak.
There's only so many good manga, okay? We'll run out eventually.
Listen, the biggest thing about recommending New Game is it's the only goddamn series that we've ever read for book club that is not like brutally dark in some kind of way, aside from Familiar of Zero. And I don't want Familiar of Zero to be the standard for the softest fucking thing that we can read. All right.
What if we read Or on High School Host Club next?
Wait, we read what?
Or on High School Host Club.
How long is that? That one was pretty long, wasn't it?
I think it's like 18 volumes. Hold on. I have the box set.
That's not too bad.
I paid $130 for the box set.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Like I'm still gonna keep recommending Megman Valner just for the meme.
Well, and I'm going to continue recommending Akira. Yeah, volumes 1 through 18.
I'm just thinking like Fire Punch was what we started with. Summertime Rendering, Umineko now, Dorohedoro. These are all like dark fucking series, okay? Dark. Then we had Soloist in the Cage.
Umineko, it's just a witch.
Yeah,
It's
just a witch.
Mega Man X, chap, besides the fact that it's bad.
I didn't think Mega Man X was like bad. It was just like, yeah. It was just a little witch, not bad.
Alright, that's what I tell you.
Yeah, like I'm just like, New Game is just. It's either that or the rom-coms I keep recommending, okay? Eventually one of them will go through and we'll be reading a rom-com. I want it to happen one day. We're reading a whole bunch of like dramas and action stuff, which I don't mind. They're like all great, but I want like one of those kind of things eventually. But I'm not going to force the vote.
I just want to read Black Butler.
You can read Black Butler.
It's still there.
Listen, I vote for it. I vote for it.
I know you do.
But I also voted for Umineko.
Everybody voted for Umineko.
Everybody
Mi-
voted for Umineko.
Yeah. That one.
So,
That one again, I will re-say now that we've been 2 weeks into it. Okay, that I had to run that again with like other things like that were in second place or whatever with it too, because there was like a few that were pretty close to tying, but a lot of votes were from people who were not involved with our regular discussions before, and I wasn't sure if they would be involved with discussions for this. And many of them were not involved with the discussion for this, at least not now. I don't know if if any of those people want to get in later, you're more than welcome. But some of those, I also get nervous about too, because I'm just like, people like Justin did not want, didn't want to vote because he was going to get involved with whatever series we all voted on. Depending on what the series was, he would decide whether or not he wanted to join in. So he didn't feel like he should vote because he doesn't want his voice to his vote to influence a series when he may or may not be involved with it or whatever. But I mean, that's a whole different kind of idea with that kind of stuff where I'm sorry, we're rambling about this when we really should be wrapping up here for today, because I think we're done with the Umineko discussion for tonight, right? We don't have anything else to bring up with Umineko.
Right.
Okay. So we are officially done with episode 1 of Umineko. That's volumes the first 4 volumes of the Umineko manga. If you are listening to this following from home, I'm going to show on screen right now the schedule meme that we got here. Okay, schedule. Ignore the Battler gif and the Battler streamer gif in the corner. I'm going to move this to be above the Battler gif.
Part of the story, okay.
Okay, it's yes, true. I'll make it
The
a
whole
little
thing.
bigger here. Okay, so next week we will be reading. We'll be reading episode 2. Now, the important thing here is episode 2 and 3 are we're going to be reading based on each omnibus release. But for those of you who are not actually buying them off like Kindle or whatever, the chapter numbers are what you have to pay attention to. Specifically, you have to pay attention to the chapter numbers for the episode. So we're done with episode 1. There will be no more chapters for episode 1. If you go there and you find more chapters, I don't know how you did, because there's no more. We read them all. So episode 2, which is called Turn of the Golden Witch. We read Legend of the Golden Witch. Now we're going on to Turn of the Golden Witch. We're going to be reading volumes 1, 2, sort of 3. There's like an overlap between the omnibus editions, between volumes 3 being in like the other omnibus 2 and volume, So there's going to be some slight differences. So specifically, we're going to be reading chapters 1 to 16 of the episode 2 manga for Umineko. So chapters 1 to 16 for next week, which should be the first 3 volumes of the Japanese version. I have not checked to see the versions you guys are reading on, how they list it, but essentially it's chapters 1 to 16, and I will let you guys know as well, based on the 3rd volume of the official release by Yen Press, what chapter they end that at, because I know like we had the bonus meme chapters here. Technically speaking, episode 1 ends at chapter 23, but some of those chapters are not listed as chapter 23 on the places that you guys are reading it from. But on like various places or whatever, it's listed as 23, but it's really like bonus meme chapters or whatever. So I'll clarify to double check with you guys in the Discord for what chapter you ended at. Just know that we are not going to be reading, on some of those platforms, you might think, I'll just read to the end of volume 3. That's not necessarily true. You should not necessarily read all of volume 3, because I think it only has a partial amount of volume 3 in the actual omnibus chapters we're going to be reading. So just keep in mind the chapter numbers, and then I'll double check it in the server and verify for you guys which one you guys stop at specifically, and then we should be fine. So keep all that in mind. These are the only 2 places where we have to worry about that, episodes 2 and 3, and after that we're done. And really we only have to worry about it for the first stream, because once we're done with the first stream, the second stream you just read until you're done with the episode, and then it's all set. So keep in mind, so right now it's just going to be chapters 1 to 16, 1 to 16 of episode 2, Turn of the Golden Witch. And I will double check and let you guys know in the Discord. And you can join the Discord if you are interested in knowing when the fuck you're supposed to read to if you're watching this, okay? You can join it by going to discord.wolfborg.com. And if you're listening to this on any of the many platforms that you could be listening to this on, all you got to do is hit the follow, like, subscribe, whatever kind of button you can press, free or otherwise. Just press them all. Just start pressing shit until things happen. Eventually, you'll be watching more of my videos, which is good. That's always good. I will read 2 quick messages that we got in chat in YouTube that I did not notice earlier, by someone with a very Russian name and then says 2.0. Don't know what that means. They said Umineko ven zekrai. I don't know if that. And then the other one is witches is not real for real.
Whoa.
And I agree. And I agree. I agree with that. Witches is not real for real. Witches is not real for real. And then, okay, let me check real quick in Twitch if there's any important messages as you read from here. It never happened. It never happened. Most of the messages in the Twitch chat were from like the beginning. Oh my god, J Smith V3, that's you, Turando, right? With the sub. Holy shit, thank you so much, Turando. We appreciate you. You too, if you're watching this, could subscribe on Twitch, and then you will also be able to use the, like, I think one emote that I have that's not, listen, okay, it's just my face with a thinking emoji. It's not that great. I'm actually trying to seek out some kind of artist to help make some emotes for the stream / my server. I think that'd be fun. That'd be a little fun thing to do.
So you can get those in the future.
Yeah, that'll be a thing that you guys will have access to. I think it also stops you guys from seeing ads. I don't control the ads when they happen on Twitch. I turn them off on YouTube until we're done streaming, and then I turn them on. But with Twitch, I can't control it. So if you want to remove them, all you gotta do is subscribe. And if you do, you'll also be getting those emotes in the future whenever they happen. Well, this is the thing. And also, you'll get my love and appreciation. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough? Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to join us again this week. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week, the 18th, right? This is the 18th, to start Umineko Episode 2, Turn of the Golden Witch.
Yep. She's figuring out what movement is. We're all screwed.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much, everybody. Nate in the chat, thank you for the stream. It was a great podcast. Well, thank you so much. Come and hang out with us. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Bye, Nate.
Goodbye. Wait, hold on. Wait. Is there anybody I know that's streaming right now? So you guess this person.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened.
It never happened. It never happened. All right, go say hi to Scrap King Keita.
Then followed. That's amazing.
Those of you on Twitch, go say hi to... Oh, and the follow. Oh, my God. Thank you so much for that. Go say hi to Scrap King Keita. They are playing Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. Good luck to them on that journey. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, gamers.
Bye, stream.
Goodbye. If it ever sends... Never mind. Hold on. I have to cancel it and change it to somebody else because they immediately stopped their stream. God damn it. Hold on. They immediately stopped their stream, so I will also raid that person too. Hold on. I tried. I was gonna send it to them. Bye, gamers. Ha 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 ha.